Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 262. I'm your host, Justin Tismoni, joined, as always, by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you doing this week?
Actually, I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, that's...
Not, but I'm okay.
Oh, well, why'd you got to do me like that?
No, I'm okay. It's an okay
Okay.
week. I'm
Okay.
not in class anymore, at least for another week and a half, and
Okay.
uh,
Oh, so you're
pass my
gaming right
final.
now.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to, but I just been tired, so I've been sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I haven't gotten on Discord in like a week or whatever. I'm just chilling, kind of doing my own thing right now. So, but yeah, I mean, work's been difficult because I mentioned I mentioned what happened last week, right? On last week's episode, we had layoffs and
Yeah, you mentioned
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I have a whole new team under me now, so I'm like trying to learn what they everything they do, and I got more people to manage, so it's just like work is exhausting at the moment. So um just coming home and playing shit that's comfy for the most part. So well, do you want to just get right into it this week? We got a lot of news to talk about.
Yeah, we can just get right into it.
All right,
Can
let's
bitch and
do it.
moan later.
So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us a question on Twitter, you can do so at The Player's Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. Montrell, do you remember? I feel like this was like a year ago now. Isn't Google Podcast supposed to be going away? Did that actually happen? They changed their mind.
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember
Google
that
is.
happening, and I just keep calling it Google Podcast without knowing if it's actually still Google Podcast or not.
I'm not too sure. I know they got rid of like almost everything related to like media shit except for YouTube. I think
It's still there.
it's
There's still an app
oh
for
it'll
it.
be shutting
So,
down April of this year actually.
oh, so what's replacing it then for Google? Nothing.
Everything is going to YouTube Music. Yeah, that's what I thought. They're moving everything to YouTube Music.
YouTube Music. All right, let
Yeah.
me put that in the outline. Soon to be YouTube Music. That's not gonna sound as good though, when I'm doing the rigmarole. I don't know. I might need to pick a different app. Fuck you, Google. Um. All right. Well, Montreal, let's just jump right into what we've been playing. Been a weird week for me. I have not really played anything new. I've been playing the same games, just Grand Blue Fantasy, Relink, and Raven Dawn. Grand Blue, I got through. I'm pretty much at the point where I've done majority of the content in the game. I'm not done with every single quest, but that's not a goal that I really need to achieve necessarily. So I'm in the end game. I'm at the point where I'm kind of like farming weapons, upgrading stuff, just kind of trying to hit the trophy requirements in order to platinum the game. But so I'm still enjoying the game. It's still very fun, and honestly, the more I play this game, the more I'm just so disappointed by the fact that the story was so short. I think a lot of people probably played this game, beat it in the 15 hours required, and then potentially dropped it or did not get very far into the post game. Where it's like the post game is the game in this game. It's like that's where all the interesting shit is. That's where the interesting character building is. The kind of party composition stuff, the different battles that you're going into are a lot more they can be more interesting than what's going on in the story missions and whatnot. And I think that's kind of the disappointing aspect. The way they structured the game is just so straightforward that I do think a lot of people probably jumped out really quickly with it. But it because yeah, the depth of it, there's actually a lot of RPG depth here that I am enjoying. I like the way they did the character progression. There's a lot of customization options with how you can kind of customize your characters and build your party. With the sigil system, the sigil system is cool. You have ultimately 12 sigil slots, which these are basically allow you to equip these orbs that have different skills on them. And you can build it in any combination you wish, but you get more sigils randomly. This is where the randomization is in this game's end game. Um, what you get. You can't craft these. They are just given to you randomly, whether it's through a quest reward or going to the knick-knack voucher vendor and just basically going into what is essentially a gotcha mechanic where you just roll for random sigils. Um, but I haven't found it to be too bad. I've actually gotten quite a good number of very effective sigils that are useful. So it's cool. You can also upgrade the sigils as well. They come in at kind of a base level, and you can upgrade them a few times. At the blacksmith, there's a weapon upgrading system. There's also kind of an over leveling system for your weapons. There's actually multiple over leveling systems for your weapons. There's one for specifically ascension weapons and terminus weapons that lets you over level them above the level cap. That's those two specific types. But then there's also another system called this item you get called Mirage Munitions, and they basically just give you a little stat boost. But you can put them on any weapon you want, regardless of its level, and it will raise the stats of that weapon a little bit. But you can take them off a weapon. So let's say you're using one weapon and you want to switch to another one. You can take all the Mirage Munitions from it and move it over to the new weapon. So it doesn't lock you in, which is pretty nice. So it's like a nice little steady progress booster as you get more of those over the course of your gameplay. And then, the skill trees eventually max out. You do hit a max out point with the skill trees. And I will say that's probably the most disappointing element of this game is the skill trees just aren't that interesting. You ultimately max them out and you get every single node on the tree. There's not really decisions to be made for the most part beyond in the middle of kind of the tiers you're in, what path you decide to take, and then eventually you go backwards and just fill the whole thing in that's available to you. But so the progression systems are pretty cool in the game, but the combat is also, I mentioned last week, is cool, but the quest is where things get, I don't know, interesting but not at the same time. This is the issue with the game, is that post game, for the most part, there's very little unique content in the post game. It is mostly recycling things that you've done in the story mode, just raising the difficulty of that to a much higher degree, where there are a lot of mechanics that in the story were not very difficult to deal with, that you could kind of ignore or just not really pay that much attention to, that in the higher difficulties will one shot you or kill a huge amount of your party potentially, if you don't dodge them correctly or position yourself right. Which is, it's fine. That's fine. That's not a problem necessarily, but it's just the fact that it's kind of just recycled content. So if you don't want to play this game in a repetitive way, you're going to bounce off it. And I don't blame people for that, for sure. I like the game enough where I don't mind it. It's similar into that Monster Hunter type structure where you're kind of doing the same quests over and over again, trying to get specific parts or specific things from
I don't
creatures.
know, Justin. It sounds like a gotcha without the gotcha for you. I think that's why you like it.
Man, no. Okay. Honestly, the gotcha element isn't, it's not there, right? Obviously, it's just the sigils aspect that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a good game here. It's just they don't have enough they just didn't have enough content, I think, to make the game like have any real staying power. There are a lot of people still playing it though. It's not like it's totally died off. It's just there's not, once you hit the point where you've kind of done everything and you're able to do everything, there's not really much of a point to continuing to grind, you know. So I'm playing it still just because I want to get the platinum. That's it. Once I get the platinum, I'm dropping the game. That's gonna be the end of it. So but I think the other problem I have though is like for getting the plat specifically, you have to get all the weapons in the game, and there's one type of weapon, the terminus weapons, that you can only get through the hardest quest in the game. And they drop off the quest, and you have to do the quest over and over and over again to get these drops. And there's not a high chance that, like, the drop rate's not very high from what I've seen. I've done the quest about 4 or 5 times now, and I haven't gotten a single one of the weapons to drop. And there's 19 of them that you have to get. So
Okay.
I'm not appreciating that there's like no alternative path to get the weapons, because I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time on this, because that quest in particular takes 10 to 15 minutes to complete. And it's not super easy still for me. Like, there's still a chance I will die and fail at this point with it. It is actually a hard quest, but no, I don't know, Montrell. This would have been a fun game to co-op, actually, I think, if you had stuck with it. But it's just, it's just very repetitive game, in the end game. So, um, but it's good. I'm having fun with it still. I'm just trying to grind through it. I'm probably not. I think this weekend because I'm off today and tomorrow through the weekend. So I'm planning to play one of either Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Unicorn Overlord to start playing those. So I'll probably put this game aside as like a side project that I'm going to be continuing to work on because I don't know how much time it's really going to take me to get all these weapons and whatnot. Like if I wanted to get the plat this weekend, I would probably have to exclusively play this game, and I just don't want to do that at this point. So yeah, been playing that. Also still playing Raven Dawn. This is the MMO I was talking about last week. I've hit legacy level 32 actually, and I'm still enjoying this game a lot. It is a very grindy game. It is for a very particular type of player that I fall into, but I'm enjoying it a lot. The game is obviously it just came out in January, so the developers are very active in developing for it. There was actually a new patch that just came out today, and it added a bunch of major features to the game, which was really cool. They expanded the community housing to include the upper tiers of community housing. So originally, you could only get a small house on the community housing plot, which I have. But now you can actually get the medium and large houses, and they are allowing players to own one of all three of those at the same time if you want. So they're going to give players access to a much larger amount of land to use at their disposal, which is to me a really cool change. I like that a lot because the community land that I was using felt very restrictive compared to what's out in the open world. And I appreciate that for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is just kind of a chill game to grind. I put music on or listen to podcasts and just do my thing with it. Um, it is it is getting more interesting though. They said they're planning in the near future to really start focusing on more later game content like group content, PVE group content, and then PvP group content as well. Because this game is full PvP for the most part. So that's cool. I'm actually kind of excited about that concept in the game. But I will tell you, I'm starting to get to the point now where I'm starting to see players that are, kind of aggro. I've gotten killed by a few people now out in the open world for no reason. They just see me and they kill me. It's not like there's any reason to kill me. They're just kind of doing it because they want to do PvP. And so that's become an interesting kind of danger element to the game is seeing other players can be dangerous if they're deciding to actually attack you and kill you. And I'm playing a melee character, so a lot of the ranged characters kind of a significant advantage over me. I'm not playing a PvP build right now, and that makes it very difficult for me to deal with kiting at the moment. So, but yeah, it's a cool game. I'm enjoying it a lot. I would recommend it to people if they're looking for something very grindy and they like that kind of I don't know, Stardew Valley harvesting type gameplay loop. But they're looking for like an actual MMO with combat in it at the same time. There's a very cool game here. So, Montrell, you said you were you were thinking about checking it out. Is you still thinking about it or not really?
It kind of fell off my radar because I started playing Final Fantasy. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's all I've been playing. Like I said, I plan to play one of Rebirth or Unicorn Overlord this weekend. So I'm sure I'll probably talk about one of those next week. But Montrell, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Hell Divers too. Haven't been online as much to play it. Uh, much as I love it, my friends have been going a little bit too hard. Our friends have been going a little bit too hard on it. And I'm just like, all right, I need a break from it. Then I come back to it.
I know I bought
Uh,
it, dude. I have it. I don't. I mean, Jet's been gone like all week, so I don't know. I'm in a single player mode right now. I really
yeah,
am. That's where my headspace is.
honestly, don't know what mode I'm in. I tried to play. I've also been playing League of Legends. I've been playing that. I've been playing ranked, and surprisingly, I've been doing okay. Like I've won in my last 3 to 4 games ranked straight. Um, so I mean, I've been doing okay with that. But yeah, I've been playing Helldivers. I really don't have any complaints about it. I mean, they've swapped out some of the I haven't played any of the recent nerfs and buffs they made. I did have one
Mm,
major complaint because I felt like the shotgun, one of the shotguns they had was called a breaker, was just super overpowered. Um and it was like the meta weapon. And some people were complaining, like, why would you nerf a weapon in a PvE game? How is it meta? And it's all this stuff like that. Just use another weapon at your own discretion. And it's like, yeah, but if it's good, I'm gonna use it. Like, oh, but you don't have to use it. And it's like, I know I don't have to use it, but it's good and I'm gonna use it.
yeah.
And it was literally making other weapons obsolete as far as like your primary weapon. So I'm kind of glad they nerfed it. A lot of people are upset about it, and they nerfed the railgun, which I'm kind of glad they nerfed that too. I'm kind of glad they nerfed other stuff so that people can stop saying like there's a meta and like use everything to their disposal. The game's
Mm.
supposed to be based off teamwork, not four solos working around running around the map or
Well,
whatever.
not yeah. Every player shouldn't be using the same weapon loadout.
Yeah,
In that
yeah,
squad. Like, to me, in a game like Helldivers, the whole point of the game is that people have like there should be different functions for the weapons. It's like there shouldn't
yeah.
be weapons that are good in every situation.
Yeah, and I agree, and I mean, I do agree to some extent with the players as well. Like, I think on believe it's Suicide and Up, or Impossible and Up rather, the mission difficulty. Uh, they spawn, especially on the Terminate side, the bug side, they spawn way too many fucking Bio Titans, and there isn't an effective way right now to deal with all those. Like, they're just your camp's going to get completely overrun when you're trying to like extract or whatever the case may be because not only I think the sound is messed up on them because you can't hear them burrow through the tunnels. Like they just appear sometime and you're fighting and stuff like that. Um but they're also roaming mobs. So they may be a roaming mob of Titans or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So I do think they need to fix the spawn rate as far as like tone it down. If you're gonna nerf all these weapons and everything like that, I think they need to buff certain stats on weapons as well, just to make dealing with armored enemies more manageable.
Mm.
I think buffing the flamethrower is a really good way to go, but I still think other weapons need to be buffed and even stratagems. I know they said use stratagem, but I think certain stratagems need to be buffed as well, as far as like cooldown timers and stuff like that. And I know the objective is, you want to have your teammates use it, but um there is a certain like dead period when all everybody's strategies are on cooldown. You know what I'm saying? So um I don't know. There is an effective way to deal with stuff. We just got to figure it out again. That's pretty much what it is. The meta shifted
Mm.
towards this, and now it's dead. And now the community has to figure out and actually do teamwork again and figure out what the meta is. Which I like it. A lot of people are complaining about it, but like I said, I like it. I don't really fucking care. Um, I like when the game kind of stays fresh that way because you are fighting the same enemies over and over again. So
Yeah.
your only like bit of uh variety is from every time you drop, you want something different to happen, or you want like something to happen, or whatever the case may be. And if everyone has the same loadout and has the same plan every time, then that's not gonna work out.
Mhm.
I also like that they buffed or the planets are gonna have more random variables on it. Like maybe they may have meteors falling from the sky on the planets and all this other shit like that.
Yeah, I saw
So
that. That's cool. And then
um
are the mechs in the game now?
so the Mexican are only going to be unlocked for people who liberated once we liberate a planet. We have to liberate a planet to get that factory, and then once we liberate the planet as a community, then we can get the mechs unlocked. So it's not an automatic unlock, which I like. I
I
actually
like
like
that.
hiding.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
I like hiding the content behind walls like that. That's really cool to me.
Well, it's like a
Um,
community thing too. It's not like you individually have to unlock it. Like
exactly.
it's kind
Yeah.
of like you remember the old World of Warcraft. I don't know. You didn't play it really, but I remember like the AQ on Courage dungeons. Like there was the whole war effort there in
Hmm.
Silithus that happened in vanilla, and you had to like give supplies and stuff as a community, and then you would unlock the dungeons after that, and it would take it takes some time, some amount of time for that to happen. Um, in more recent years, I think when they did it in classic and it was done in like days, it was like fucking stupid. Like people have this shit like so figured out, but I think that's my thing with Helldivers. I really don't want to see this game develop into some kind of meta bullshit game, you know? Like it just
Yeah, I didn't
I
really
don't know.
like the article I read that people were upset that the developers were like kind of teasing them, and I'm like, ooh, like, and then the creator or the CEO of Arrowhead Studio say he's going to give them like training or whatever on how to talk to the community and everything like that. And I thought the developers were just having fun when they
I
were
think
telling
they're
people
trying
to
to
get good.
tease people and people are being
Yeah,
butthurt, yeah.
yeah, just telling them to get good and shit like that. I thought that was just like what we were doing, but people were actually upset about that. And I think they were just butthurt because they got their fucking build nerfed or whatever
Favorite
the case may
gun
be.
nerfed. I mean, it doesn't feel good to get the shit that you use nerfed. I mean, I've been there before, you know. But it at the same time, I think people do get a little too wrapped up in the idea that like, oh, you should never nerf anything in a game. You know, you should only buff things, and that doesn't always work. You know, if something is obscenely powerful and all you're going to do is try to buff everything else, well, then all you're doing is making everything obscenely powerful. You know,
Yeah,
that doesn't fix the problem. You know, it's like there's a certain power level that the game has to adhere to. You know, and this is true for any game that has like balance patches and whatnot. So I don't know. I think the developers, you know, they're fine. They need to do their thing, and I think the game should change things up. They should nerf stuff, and they shouldn't let things be the same forever. That's how a game like this gets stale. You know, I think they kind of need to force the community into different play styles over time. Ultimately,
yeah, and I agree. I think there's, like I said, they're still working on it and everything like that. I personally think DMRs and assault rifles need to be buffed again, or need some kind of buff or whatever, just to make them viable.
hmm
Uh, I like I said, I do like some of the changes. I think they should have went a little bit harder. I think they should have switched up the entire meta, buffed a lot of stuff, and then just decreased the stuff a little bit that was like overpowered, which was like the rail gun and the shotgun that people were using. Um,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, overall, I still think the game's fun. I just can't play it every day. I was playing it every day. It is a fun game to play almost every day, but like I do want to play other stuff. So that's why I haven't really been online, because I do want to play other shit or whatever the case may be. So in that case, I have been playing Final Fantasy Rebirth. Um, I do like the game. I like it a lot.
So you
Um,
got through the early part that you were
yeah, so
struggling with.
if you play the demo, you don't have to play that in the regular game. So, I
I heard
played
that's
that
not like
part.
100% seamless though. You still have to play like a certain up to a certain
Yeah,
point, and then
you,
it
you
lets you skip or something
yeah,
weird.
yeah. So you still have to play to a certain point, and then it skips. It's like right where you meet. I'm not spoiling anything. So right when you meet Tifa in the flashback, like after you meet her, it'll ask you run a little bit further, and it's gonna say like, okay, you played this part in the demo. Do you want to skip all this part? And it's like, yeah, and then you go back to the village, and then that's when like the other game starts, or that's when the real game starts, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
But it is a sizable chunk that you do skip, um, um, which I appreciate. I didn't really. I wish the whole thing was skipped. In my opinion, I didn't want to go through going back to Cloud's village or whatever. Um, and everything of that nature, which I can't even correct myself on that. So y'all gonna have to deal with that if y'all played the game, because I know what actually happened. Um, but a lot of other people don't know what actually happened. Um, so yeah. Um, I was just confused by that part too when I was playing it. I'm like, isn't this? Oh, I see what they did. And then I was like, okay, that was actually pretty cool if they did that part. Um,
hmm
now I actually like, so you have like a almost a Mass Effect style wheel dialogue thing. In certain instances, people will talk to you, your party will talk to you,
Hmm.
and based on how you answer them, they'll be happy or sad or whatever, and your relationship would change with them over time. And you can unlock, more synergy moves based off like
Hmm.
that aspect of it, and you can do quests for them and everything of that nature. Like
Okay.
I think there's going to be some kind of like persona esque type dating shit going on because I
Yeah.
took
I heard.
Air,
Yeah.
yeah, I took Aerith on a date, and then Tifa was like, "You did what?" And I was like, "Oh shit." but it wasn't like my choice, right? It was like it's gonna happen in the game, right, or whatever the case may be. So you really don't have a choice as far as that one. But I think they were just showing you that or whatever. So the next part, like I'm in the open field part or whatever, and it's really big, and I like it, and I like the characters I've been introduced to so far and everything like that. So I don't know. I feel like Final Fantasy VII has this like it has the glaze effect, or I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
It's just like the Dick Rider effect. I don't know what the fuck to call it.
Dude,
Um,
okay, I was gonna talk about this. Yes,
yeah, it
people
has
are
a
cock guzzling this
yeah.
the old game, the old original Final Fantasy VII. It's like annoying me so much. I don't know.
Um, I think both of them are being like dick sucked a lot.
Yeah.
But so I did criticize this game. So first off, I just want to express something. When I criticize a game, that does not mean I don't like the game. I just criticize one aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean I hate the game. That doesn't mean the game is trash. It doesn't mean anything. It can still be a 10 out of 10 game, and I'm
Definitely.
still gonna have a little bit of issue with whatever
Mhm.
I experienced in that 10 out of 10 experience. You know what I'm saying? Or I guess it wouldn't be a 10 out of 10 experience. I don't fucking know. But even there's no such thing as a perfect game, in my opinion.
That's
There's
not
no
what a
such
10
thing.
is though. Yeah, a 10 is not a perfect game. A 10 is
Yeah,
it's something like to me a 10 is like it's like what we call a masterpiece, but to me it's like it's special, you know? Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
feels different than other games, you know?
exactly. So when I'm playing this game, I have a really big issue. So the game is Final Fantasy what's the other one? Reborn, remake,
Remake, yeah.
remake. The game is Final Fantasy remake. The combat is expanded a lot. They fast tracked the combat, which I like a lot. That was my main concern or main issue, not main issue. It was the improvement I wanted, right? And I think they made the improvement really well to where they made it a lot faster, but it's also the same as remake, if that makes any sense. They just add a little bit here and there, tidbits here and there to make it fresh again. And I like it. I like that it's a little bit more action oriented and everything of that nature. That being said, I don't like one mechanic they have in the game.
Mm.
To me, I don't like the rush down button being tied to the evade button. So there's a mechanic with Cloud, and I had to test it out with other characters too, um, where he would do his combo and then launch him in the air at the end of one of his combos. And to follow up in the air to do the air combo, either you can do one of his abilities and it will automatically go into the air, or you can. I think you have to press circle and hold it, and he'll rush them down while they're in the air. Now sometimes it doesn't work all the way for me. Or you have to hold square and he'll rush them down. I have to figure it out because it's this mechanic where Cloud dodges and then he starts doing like he starts like shooting air disc or air like cutters at the foe from his blade or whatever the case may be, from like a long distance type deal. Or I think you hold it and then he rushes them down or whatever. But it's also like a dodge button as well. So um I think it's weird. And I said that. I was like, I think it's weird that they did this like this. I don't really like it personally. And people are like, oh well, it gives you a strategic advantage, bro. You gotta choose, bro. You got if you want to dodge or you want to rush. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Like they literally had no more buttons and
Yeah.
they mapped it. Like I feel like if this was any other game, people would say that that's kind of a dumb mechanic to have that kind of tied to the same thing. I me personally, I think that is kind of dumb. Like, because they don't really give you a command list or whatever. So, like, if you're gonna have combo like button combos like that, give me like a little command list or whatever the case may be. Um, I I don't know. That's just what I think or whatever the case. I think Tifa has been her early game at least has been severely nerfed. Uh, I used to
Mm.
like playing Tifa because like she's like the warrior monk style that I used to like playing in fighting games or whatever,
Mhm.
like the fist style combat or whatever. And I like that type of combat. Shaolin monk style, that's what it's usually called.
Mm.
And she's usually like that type of combat. And I don't know, she just feels very watered down. And I believe when I get further into her, she's gonna be she's gonna be a lot better, or whatever the case may be. I actually like what they did with Aerith. Aerith is like really cool now. I think
Yeah.
she's a really cool spellcaster. Um, she does feel slow and she's supposed to feel that way, but the way you can actually warp around the map with her and you
Yeah.
can do really cool combos with her, as far as like being a spellcaster. I think Red 13, he's okay. Uh I don't
Mm.
really like, that's just me personally. I don't really like playing animal characters. Even when I was playing Revengeance, I didn't like playing as Wolf.
Mhm.
Because I just don't like. I think their move sets are like stupid. I just me personally, like, even when I was playing Okami, and I love Okami, like I just feel like animal move sets in action games are always looking stupid because they always get the knife at the side of their mouth, and it just looks fucking dumb. I don't know. This is me personally, um,
Yeah, like
but
the
like,
Tails Vesperia tattoo
yeah,
too.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like
It's
it
just
just
so awkward looking, dude.
yeah,
Like,
it just
yeah.
looks really awkward, and
Like they have to turn their whole body to attack somebody with the weapon. And
yeah,
it's
it
just
just,
like, yeah.
and that's just the animation, and that's, I don't think, and that's not a knock at the game Red 13 or Kami or any other Blade Wolf or anybody like that. Like I just personally, that's just my you know
Mm.
my
Mhm.
gimmick I don't like, or whatever, or cliche, or whatever the case may be. I don't like. So I tend to avoid playing animal characters like that, or whatever the case may be. I like playing humanoid characters.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and then Barrett, he's okay. I mean, he's still same old Barrett, in my opinion. They do have some cool synergy moves that I have to unlock. I think the unlock system is as well. So you get skill points, and then you have to go to a, I forgot what they call it, but pretty much like this book depository place, or you can go to a book depository vending machine, and
Mhm.
then they have like the Final Fantasy X Spirit Grid, and then you go into the Spirit Grid and you can unlock it that way. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
um, so I actually do like how they did that. I don't know. I think the game is really cool. I think the combat is really cool. That was just my only gripe with it. And like in the demo is really bad. And this is just because DJ tried to get on me. He's like, well, see, Montrell, you said the combat was bad. And I was like, I didn't say the combat was bad. I said it felt really mashy because the demo doesn't teach you anything about the game, in my opinion. The
Yeah.
demo, especially when you're playing with Sephiroth in the demo, it's really button mashy. There's no nuance to it at all. Once you start actually playing the game, I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty available as of right now. The game is called normal dynamic, and it will actually change. If you're doing really well, the gameplay will actually start to match up with you, and if you're doing start to do really bad, the gameplay will
Mhm.
start matching with you. But that was the hardest difficulty they can give me, or whatever the case may be, because I always felt like Final Fantasy remake was really easy. I
Yeah.
played because I played Crisis Core on the hardest mode. um but anyway, like, it does come off as really super mashy. Like, I can just mash square with Sephiroth and with Cloud actually in a demo and just wreck shop. Don't have any. You have to go out your way to kind of learn the game. The game doesn't like kind of make you learn. Like, okay, like it teaches you like what stagger is, but it doesn't teach you like how to strategically stagger people and stuff like that. It just teaches like this is the basics
Mhm.
of how to stagger, and this is what you do when you stagger. And like, um, in my opinion, like magic is almost non-existent in the first demo. Then once you start to play the game, magic becomes a lot more useful because you can stagger enemies a lot faster with certain magic attacks and everything of that nature. So it's just like I don't think the demo did a good job of introducing me to the game at all, in my opinion.
Mm.
Now there is a second part of the demo that I didn't play, and that's because I was just doing a lot of other stuff. Once you beat the demo, you can actually play in the field. Um, like you have a preset party and everything, and you can play in the field and everything like that, which I didn't even know about. I didn't even know they had that function. I'm just like, you're doing a lot for a demo, which is like cool, I guess, but it's also like
Yeah.
leave something for us to buy the game with. I don't fucking know. I think it's cool though. I'd rather have a little bit more in the demo to see if I wanted to buy the game than not. But I already bought the game, so it's whatever. But I don't I think the voice acting is okay. I think the
Hmm.
story so far is okay.
What do you mean?
Um
Like specific characters or everybody?
uh I think Cloud is still dry, but that's just Cloud. I
Yeah.
think Barrett is trying to match the tone of the anime black guy in the 90s, which when that game came out, that's what it is. And
Yeah.
he does that very well. And I think that his voice actor is black, actually. So I think he's matching that tone really well because that's what the tone of the game was when it came out. And it's, in my opinion, it's they're trying to capture that 90s anime feel. The way Cloud talks, the way Sephiroth talks, the way Aerith talks, and everything of that nature. It's very like, it's not modern anime, it's old school anime, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um I um there were certain points though where Sephiroth in particular, I thought his voice acting was terrible. And I was just like, no one's talking about this. This is insane. If this is any other game, people will be talking about this, especially in the demo sections. I just thought it was just flat, monotone, like he had more emotion, in my opinion, in Crisis Core than he did. And I'm talking about the original Crisis Core. He had more emotion and everything in Crisis Core than he did in this game, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But this is where I'm talking about where the dick riding comes into place, right? Because I have seen zero like criticism about that. Like, now maybe it's not like that throughout the entire game, right? Or maybe people played it in Japanese. I'm not playing this shit in Japanese, first of all. I don't really fucking care. Like, I don't care what y'all say. Ooh, just play in Japanese. I speak English, bro. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do that. If I do this with every anime, if there's a dub available, I will watch the dub and then I will just go through it in dub, right? If the dub is terrible, like there was one dub that was just fucking terrible. Oh, I think it's Bobo or whatever, right? I tried to watch that anime in English, fucking terrible. I had to watch in Japanese because if I watched in English, I wouldn't do it. I watched JoJo's in fucking Japanese because I actually started watching that in Japanese, and the jokes won't make sense, in my opinion, if they're in English, the way they talk and everything of that nature.
Mhm.
Um, so there are instances where this works, right? I don't think Final Fantasy is that game, or maybe it is. I don't fucking know. It's just certain parts of the game, man. Like, it feels really, the dialogue feels so like 90s anime. And like, it's not like, okay, so to me, the RPG that has like one of the best party dynamics, right? As far as like conversations, even in English, is Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah.
That's like, for me, one I'm not saying it is the golden standard, y'all. One of the golden standards as far as English JRPG, like conversation and attacks and everything of that nature, right? That game has way better voice acting than this game by far. Like, not even close.
Huh.
Doesn't even hold a candle, in my opinion. Um, and no one's talking about it. I think they're just getting away with it. Like, you know what? Maybe I think the voice acting is pretty bad. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say the voice acting is pretty bad for the English dubbed. I don't think it's good at all, in my opinion. Certain aspects of it,
What changed though? Because I mean, it
it's
was
just
fine in remake.
everything's so fucking dry.
It was fine in
Maybe
remake. Like,
maybe it's Rose Tinted Glasses was a remake for me. For me personally,
yeah.
maybe it's Rose Tinted Glasses. Everything's just so fucking dry, bro. Like, it's just, at least the early part of the game for me is just dry as fuck. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is, or maybe it's their style, the way they do, the way they write their shit. Maybe I personally don't like it anymore. Maybe I grew up out of it, or whatever the case may be. I would be interested in seeing you play it. Maybe nothing changed. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I
Gotta
just
play it. Yeah.
grew out of like this style of voice acting because it's just very like,
Is it like old school, like JRPG, like Kingdom Hearts 1,
yes,
type
yes,
stuff?
that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's more serious though.
Okay.
It's, in my opinion, it's not as bad as that, but it's like a step above that. But like,
If that's what it is, and I'm surprised I've not, dude. Then you're totally right. People, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Keep going.
yeah, but like I said, maybe it's just me, right? I don't know.
Could be. You
It was
definitely
just
seemed in a headspace about this game, certainly before you were playing it. That you just, I feel like you don't want to play this game right now.
maybe I don't want to play it right now. I think I might shelve it for a while. I'm just not in the headspace to play it.
I gotta, I'm in a similar boat, but I gotta play it because I'm just afraid of spoilers, dude. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think people, I do not people are not being responsible with this one in terms of spoilers. Like I'm seeing things floating around, and I'm just not. There's a couple podcasts I listen to where they just go into spoilers. Like they don't even. There's
Yeah.
no
See,
warning, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck?
yeah, and that's
And
what
people are too excited to talk about this fucking game, and I'm like,
that's
it's
the problem
irritating.
for me personally. Like, I know I'm probably not gonna have enough time to finish this game before I go back to school in 2 weeks,
Mm,
in a week and a half.
yeah,
And I don't want to blitz through it because I want to experience everything the combat has to offer for me.
yeah,
Um, in the side missions and everything like that. Because I think the story is very interesting. I think what they're doing with the story is very interesting.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I still like the characters, bad voice acting, or maybe I don't think the voice acting is bad. Maybe I think the voice acting is not to my liking because it's not my style of
Or
voice
is it like a
acting.
direction thing? Like, do you think they directed the
Maybe
voice
it
actors in a
is.
certain way,
Yeah,
and they're
maybe it's
all
a
doing the
direction
same
thing
thing?
because I had the
Yeah.
same. I don't know if you remember. I had this same issue with Crisis Core, the remake. I
Mm,
just did not like the direction that they pushed the exact voice actor in, and I think it's the same thing with this one. Like the game, like there's one part that was very funny to me, right? Like I said, when Aerith was like, "Oh, we," they're it was an event that happened, and then everybody grouped together, and then she was like, "Oh, well," there's Barrett was like, "Where the hell were you guys at?" And she was like, "Oh, me and Cloud were on the date," and then Tifa was like, "Oh, what?" And then Cloud was like, whatever." And I thought that was like very funny, right?
oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But it was so,
It is that awkward JRPG like.
yeah, anime. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
remember.
that's a very like anime thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like so it's the conversation isn't flowing naturally, like say for and I'm gonna
Because you can
fucking
imagine
regret.
you can imagine in Japanese, right? Tifa's like "Nani?" or something stupid, like,
Yeah. Uh
you know.
so but I'm trying to and I'm probably gonna get a lot of fucking shit for this. And I probably deserve it, y'all. The conversations flowed better in Persona 5 than they do in this game. In dubbed.
Hmm.
They the localization team seemed like they knew what the main team was doing as far as like the attitudes and the voices they're trying to portray. And
Yeah.
I felt like the director did not understand in this Final Fantasy game what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I do also know I don't like Final Fantasy voice acting in general. I think it's bad across the board. The only game
I
that
would
had
agree with
really good
that.
voice acting as far as direction, now I'm not talking about the performance of the voice actors. As far as direction, it's Final Fantasy 16 or yes,
16. Yeah.
16. They did a
Totally agree.
phenomenal job in that game.
I think even the
And I would
performances are they're a step above
yeah,
most what Final Fantasy's ever really produced to me.
exactly. And to come from that, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about action, y'all. I'm not talking about story or gameplay. I'm talking about voice acting and direction. To come from that to come back to this style is jarring to me. Um, I don't like it. And it's very if you play Final Fantasy 10 or 13, it's just that, but 7 now. If that makes any sense. They just took that kind of style and just went back to 7. And I think people like that corniness and that campiness because it makes them feel comfortable. It's nostalgic.
Do
I
they
fucking
though?
hate it.
Do they
I
like hold on a second? I feel like no, this is to your point about the dick riding because when other franchises do this, they get fucking reamed and ripped apart. But okay, FF7's doing it though. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, the voice
It's
acting is
just
so
that's why I
great.
want you to play it, right? Because I don't
Yeah.
want you to say like, maybe you'll come back and be like, I didn't mind the voice acting, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's just
Yeah, but
maybe it's
maybe
just
I'm one of the dick riders. I don't like I dude, I Final Fantasy VII remake, I don't believe I have an objective viewpoint of that game. Like
okay.
I
I
feel that
can
I feel that for myself. I like that game a lot more than I think I thought I ever would, you know? Like you
it
know?
was it was a good game. Um
Like
I don't know.
I wouldn't call it that. I would say I think it's an excellent game. Like
No, yeah,
that's
well, that's
you
well, I
know.
mean, I'm just using good as
I don't know. I
a
might
regular
not like
term.
this game as much though, because I mean we're talking about bloat, right? Bloat. This game, the size of this game may turn me off. Like,
Yes, it will. When you hit the
yeah,
open world, first of
yeah.
all, not even when I hit the open world, right out the gate after the demo section, you're hit with like 3 side quests and a fucking mini game, and I'm
Yeah,
like, bro.
they're not good side quests, right? From what I've heard, it's like
Well, if you like card games, like they have a card game called
I just heard
Queen's
about
Blood.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I heard a lot of people like it. I skipped it entirely. I was like, I don't want to fucking play this shit. And maybe that's because, like I said, the mindset I was in when I played it. But you can play other people, and I'm pretty sure you'll get like some good materia from it, or whatever the case may be, if you
Mm,
play it.
mhm.
But like for me personally, like um yeah, when the game kind of opens up, the open world is like huge. I zoomed out the map and I was like, holy fuck, this map is big as fuck. At least to me it was. Um
Yeah.
so I gotta play some more. I'm only like 3 or 4 hours into the game, but like I said, like um it was just a lot of stuff that was like really jarring. And maybe this stuff was present in Final Fantasy VII. And I just don't remember being as annoyed with the voice acting in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I think maybe it was because of the cast. Like the people they were
Well,
using, like
it was a much smaller group for most of the game.
yeah, but we still had the same people, right? But it's
Yeah, but it
like
was only like it was 4 characters. It was Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Barrett. Like that's the
yeah,
party.
but you also had Jesse. What was his fucking
Yeah,
name?
but Jesse's not here, is she? Like that
No,
was a
she's not.
really good performance.
Yeah, it was. It was. She was a really good performance.
Like that was a great character. So I, she's not involved anymore.
It
So
even in when I was playing Intrograde, right?
mm.
I
Oh yeah,
felt like
because
the
is Yuffie there? Is she there? Is she part of the
I
party?
uh I think you unlock her soon
Okay,
later.
not yet. Okay,
Not yet, yeah. But even like the early parts of it, the conversations just flowed better. I think
yeah,
that's where it's off. It's just like, yeah, I think it's the direction. I'll be curious to see if they got the same voice director,
mm,
for this game. Maybe they did, and maybe they just told them they wanted to take it in a totally different direction. In my
yeah,
opinion, um, I don't know. It's just certain aspects of it where it's just like really fucking anime dry, like bullshit, and
yeah.
then it's certain other parts where like the performance is okay or whatever the case may be.
Because
Um,
yeah, the way you're describing this, it sounds like it's gonna be hard for them to overcome Final Fantasy 16's performances and voice acting. Because that is the best part of that game to me.
yeah, you know what it is. I think Yoshi P does a really good job. Maybe not in like structured games or gameplay or whatever, but even in Final Fantasy 14, whoever he gets to direct his like voice acting for the
Yeah,
cast is really fucking
they know
good.
what they're doing. They
They know
make the
what they're doing.
characters feel like people. You know,
Yes, yeah.
that's
I
it's consistent across that game in 14 for sure.
I will say I think Aerith is a lot better in this game than she was in like one.
Yeah,
Or remake rather. One remake I found her highly annoying. In this game, she felt like a cutesy little girlfriend or whatever the case may be. I was like, oh, she's like actually enjoyable or whatever.
okay,
Or whatever the case may
yeah.
be. But I it's just some of the tones is off and everything of that nature. I don't think personally right now I don't like where the story is at. I just wanted to kind of pick up. And I think that's what it is as well. And there
There's
can
too
be
much
good parts of
setup. Yeah,
yeah, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I know I'm probably going to get a lot of shit from everybody. So I just don't fucking care at this point. I like the game. Um, I think the voice acting could be better.
mm.
The English voice acting. I'm not playing it in sub, so fuck off. Um, yeah, and that's just my take on it. But is it like a terrible game and needs to? No, it's still a 9. I still give it a 9. I
Yep.
still think the presentation of the game is really good. The story is really good. I still think the combat is really good. I still think everything about the game is really good. Even the voice acting, the performances from said voice actors are really good. I just think the direction of the voice acting is really bad, in my opinion. Yeah, there you go. Boom, there you go. And I don't like the circle button. I don't like the circle evade button. That's what I don't like.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah. Well, I did before we get off this, I do want to talk about the original game a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm getting really tired of I don't know. Like I wasn't part of the zeitgeist with the original Final Fantasy VII. So if I was, I may have a very different I might have a very different opinion on this game. But I'm just tired of people talking about this game like it has no flaws and is an untouchable, just total fucking gem of a video game because I just don't think it is. I don't know. And I think people are talking about Rebirth in the same way too. That this game is untouchable and like it's gonna be the clear game of the year front runner. And I'm like, I loved remake, dude. I did, but I don't know. I don't know if we like should just be going into this game with this assumption. I feel like there's a lot of analysis right now of Rebirth where it's like people had a pre-decided opinion on the game before they played it, and they're just confirming that bias as they're playing the game rather than like reevaluating the way they think about it. And I'm a little frustrated by that actually. It's like it's kind of weird to see. It's annoying. It's gonna make this game annoying to talk about certainly, because I think
It
the
makes
players are doing that same thing also.
yeah, it's gonna make this game annoying to
Criticize.
criticize. If I was Nomura or whoever the game director is, I would be very upset on how to improve the game because no one's giving me accurate feedback on said game.
Yeah.
And that's one of the challenges I think like, the Zelda directors have to do and
Yeah.
Yoshi P has to do and well he got a lot of feedback actually. But like Nomura he has to do and everything of that nature because there's a blind praise and how do you shift through that blind praise and make a great game or whatever because there's flaws, there's always going to be flaws, and even if you make the most perfect project there's still going to be a flaw as a creator or whatever the case may be. I mean
Mhm.
even though we're not said creators, but like when we do our work at work, me and you, we're like, oh, I could have improved on this, I could have did this better, I could have did this better or whatever the case may be, even in our like self-evaluations or whatever the fuck or whatever the case. So it's like I understand that. Like when my bosses are giving me praise, oh my, you did this and this. I'm like, I could have did this better. Like this could have been done better. Or this could have been done better. Whatever the case may be. I just think that's coming from a self awareness perspective. Um, Unfortunately, like you said, I don't think Final Fantasy VII in general is going to get that. I don't think this game is going to age badly at all by any means. But I think there are going to be certain parts of the game that are going to age, and people are like, we could have did that a little bit better, y'all. Like, why didn't we criticize this or whatever the
Yeah, it's
case may
just
be?
why does that have to take years for people to figure that out though? This happened with Breath of the Wild too. It took 3 years for people to start actually criticizing that game. And it's like why like what blinders are you in, like are you so absorbed in the game that you're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm finally playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth." Oh my god, and you're just so in that feeling that you can't be have any amount of objectivity about the game at all. Like I just like God,
Yeah, I
man,
think
you
that's what
gotta
it is.
stop. People gotta
I
stop living in this hype storm. It's just
I
I
think
don't know.
people that actually like video games and movies and stuff like that, um, live in they're very rare actually. Like, for instance, when I played Mass Effect Andromeda, I was looking so forward to that game, like for the longest. I
Mhm.
played it and I was like, yikes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, yikes, or whatever. But that's one of my favorite franchises of all time. I think I do the same thing with like Sonic. I look forward to almost every Sonic game that comes out, or whatever.
yeah,
It's like I criticize the fuck out of the game because I wanted to do better, or whatever the case may be.
yeah. And I'm that
Even
way with
though,
Xenoblade.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, uh, I don't know. I think this game is going to have like the opposite effect as Final Fantasy 15. I think this game is going to age very well. Um, I think the stuff that people are going to get annoyed about or is going to be the stuff that I'm not annoyed about, and then I'm going to get annoyed that they're annoyed about the stuff in the future. And I'm like, this wasn't the issue. The issue was this. Like, oh no, that wasn't the issue. Like, even when you talk to people about Final Fantasy 15 nowadays, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that game wasn't the best" or whatever, and you'll be like, "Well, why wasn't the best?" What are the main things me and you complain about? The incomplete story, and for me personally, the combat. Right? I
Mhm.
never hear people talk about the incomplete story. I never hear people, and people think the combat's fine. I don't know what else they complain about. Oh, the
Unbelievable.
game was
Yeah.
just. bloated or it's like no, that wasn't the
It's actually
problem.
not that bloated.
It's not at all. Actually, it's a really straightforward game.
That isn't one of the game's biggest issues, definitely.
Yeah. Um, I actually think the party dynamic in Final Fantasy 15 is actually, you know what, better
Fun.
than this game.
It's
I'm
fun.
gonna
Yeah.
say it. Yeah, I think it's fun. I don't think it's better. I think it's just really fun, like you said. Um, but I don't like the combat. So it's like in that game or whatever. And I think the combat aged really bad or whatever. But for Final Fantasy 15, I don't think anything's gonna age badly. I think people are gonna start to see the cracks though in the game. We're like, oh, okay, this
Mhm,
could have been improved or whatever.
mhm,
Like, I think one major criticism that wasn't a criticism that's going to be a criticism made later is maybe the game is a little bit too long. I haven't beat the game yet, so I don't know how long the game is. But people are like, "Oh my god, I wish I had this many mini games from the PS1 version." And I'm sitting here like, bro, Final Fantasy 15 remake was perfect, perfection as far as length, game length, bro. Perfection. I didn't need all this extra shit. I didn't need it because it was perfection. I get straight to the battles, but want to do a little mini game, a little squat mini game here and there. I can do
mhm.
that shit, you know. I,
Yeah.
if I want to do that, but like it was, and I got the little VR thing. It was perfection. This
Mm.
game, I feel like it's a little bit bloated, just a little bit.
Well, yeah, I want to just say too, for an example of us, right, being overhyped for a game and then actually pulling back on it and being objective about it was Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, that
You
is
and
a good
I
example.
were up that game's asshole before it came out. Like we were so fucking hyped for that game, and it came out. And while I think both of us think it's a great game, it has very significant flaws that we both criticize on the show. You know,
Yep.
so we're not like I don't know. I think that's why we do a podcast, and like most people should be doing podcasts because it's like we are analyzing the game from as objective of a point of view as we can. You know, it's not totally possible to do that 100%. Obviously, there's subjectivity with any opinion, but but you know, it's like I'm not afraid to criticize a game I love. I'm not afraid to do it. I'm going to do it. So it's
Well,
just
it's on a
that's just how
week
we
by week
operate.
basis. Like we do a deep dive into the game where a lot of creators, this is their job, so they have the opportunity to streamline the game or beat it in 2 days, and they don't really get to see that. You know,
It's just bullshit though. It's their job. It's not our job. Why are we going deeper than somebody who does this for a living? Like I don't
well,
understand that.
I think Final Fantasy 16 is a good example of this. The discourse didn't become come out with that game until the mass majority of people were like, "Oh, this is the flaw of the game," right? I didn't start seeing people say that until a month later, 2 months later after the game came out. That
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, well, the bloat is crazy. The mission structure is kind of weird and stupid." And there are unnecessary missions in the game or whatever the case may be. When me and you kind of figured that shit out like 2 weeks into the game because we were slow burning the game. And I think other people are slow burning the game. And then once they slow burn the game, they're like, oh, okay, this is what, this is what it is or whatever the case may be.
Mm.
Um, and another thing, I think people just totally misunderstood what that game was trying to be. Um, in the long run, it was supposed to be. I think personally, it just really wanted to be an action game, but it couldn't let go of the bullshit
Final
RPG
Fantasy.
mechanic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it couldn't let that go or whatever the case may be. So they had to put these little certain aspects in there to appease people, but it ended up making it worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And um, in this game, it is like the perfect blend of what, in my opinion, people thought Final Fantasy 15 was going to be. Because I heard people saying like, "Oh, it's so great to have party members." I'm like, "Oh, fuck off!"
Oh my
Like,
god. That dude, I hate Skill Up for that one, dude. Like that he takes a massive L on that for me, dude. Like that that opinion, he proliferated it
oh
and
really? I didn't watch his review. I stopped
yeah, he
watching it
that
after
dude, that
a
was
certain
his
amount.
big complaint. Like he wouldn't shut up about it. Like over and over and over. He said that multiple times in his review. And I remember playing the game and I'm like, what is he talking about? Like you're with people constantly in this game, you know? Like you have somebody with you almost every single mission you do, you know? Every part of the game. Like and it just like he just I don't know what he was asking for. Like he
He
wanted them
he,
to be
he wanted them to,
customizable like
yeah,
they
he
would in
wanted
a
them to
normal
be
Final
actually
Fantasy
a
game. Like I don't know.
yeah, he wanted them to be. I think that's a fair criticism. He wanted them to be part of the game. Like when I'm playing, when I
Yeah,
switch
like
to air,
they have equipment, they have a skill tree, all
yeah,
that. Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
right.
I don't
Yes,
think they necessarily need to be playable, but I think he wanted them to be, like you said, like they're customizable. They actually feel part of the team and
I
everything of
just
that
think that's a
nature.
weird requirement to have on a game that is so obviously a character action game.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say as
That's what
well.
I like, and that's where the analysis is just a complete miss for me. Like
And I think a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
people characterize this game, that game, as a character action game. Um, or yeah, as an RPG or whatever. It was actually a character action game in disguise.
Hmm.
The one game, and I'll leave it, and we can leave because we've been on this for like an hour. But
Yeah,
the one game that escapes all this criticism, in my opinion, is Kingdom Hearts. Because Kingdom Hearts is literally Final Fantasy 16. Don't, like, people can try to say it's not. It's literally Final Fantasy 16. Kingdom Hearts is a fucking character action game. I don't care what no one fucking says.
it's never been an RPG. If anybody, I'm
Goofy and Donald always die in critical mode. It Even in normal mode, they die. You don't need them. Like, you can
the
use
only
them for
thing
certain.
Donald ever contributes is healing. That's it. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all he ever contributes. Goofy, I don't even know why he's there because he doesn't do shit. Like in most of the games, like he's not useful.
And then
Um,
even your guest characters, right?
yeah.
In my opinion, they hardly add anything. Maybe a
No,
summon.
they're it's cool that Riku's in your party or that Aqua's in your party or whoever the fuck is in your party in Kingdom Hearts. It is cool, but they don't do any damage. Like they don't do any damage. They barely touch the boss. Like you're totally right. Everything I would say 90% of your party's effectiveness is on you as the player. Like in Kingdom Hearts. It might even be 95%.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about Final Fantasy 16. But that criticism escapes Kingdom Hearts, and what it comes down to the franchise, bro. Like, it comes down to, like, franchise dick riding,
Yeah, I
and
mean people are blinders with Kingdom Hearts too, dude.
yeah,
Like I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 they got away with it.
they did, and
They got away with that game. They got
it's
away
still
with it.
it still amazes me to this day, discourse behind that game. There are more people now. It's like a 60-40 thing where people, like, 40% of the people think it's bad, and then 60% like, oh, it's a good game. But, like, no, like, uh I still think it's a bad game. Like, even if I go back and play it, I think the combat's really good now.
Yeah.
I think that but it took a while to get here, right? It took a while. It took a
Yeah.
patch or two to get here, and
Well, whole DLC.
whole DLC and everything like that. And I personally just, yeah, you're right. They got away with it. I,
Maybe they're doing that here too. We'll see. We'll
no,
find out.
I can't say that. I can't say that fully with this game.
I know we haven't played the game all the way. I'm just saying it's
Yeah,
possible. We'll see. But
yeah.
all right. Well, we'll expand our thoughts on it. Next week as we both play this game. We do have a lot of news to get to. So I did forget one game that I'm playing. It is Grim Dawn on Steam Deck. I just want to talk about this real quick. Playing it on Steam Deck. It is using obviously the controller controls, which I have not played Grim Dawn with, so I'm trying to get used to that right now. But it feels good though. It feels good to play on Steam Deck. So I think I'm going to move off of Civ as my Steam Deck game, and I think I'm going to be playing Grim Dawn for a bit, getting ready for the Fangs of Astrakarn coming out later this year. Getting myself in preparation for that. So yeah, I've been playing that too. So all right, Montrell, let's move into the news. We got a lot of news to talk about this week. So let's just jump right in. So first thing, we got a couple interesting stories that I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more of this. In the near future. So the first one is with Embracer. Once again, Embracer, they're just completely like hemorrhaging studios, closing studios all over the place, layoffs all over the place. But this is what I would say is kind of a positive one. Saber Interactive, which is one of the publishing subsidiaries underneath Embracer's umbrella, is going independent. They are for $500 million. Um, there's a private investor group that is spending that money in order to free Saber from Embracer, and Embracer has agreed to do this. And then we talked about Gearbox last week. We haven't heard anything else with that specifically yet, so that is still ongoing. What's going to happen there? But it seems like Embracer, obviously we know that they're in humongous trouble right now, and they're just trying to get themselves to the point where they can stay afloat as a company. So this obviously makes sense. But Saber Interactive is the publisher that's actually working on the one of their studios is working on the KOTOR remake right now,
Yeah,
which that game is apparently still alive under them. Whether that is
yeah.
ever going to come out or not, I don't really believe it. But
They
um,
just let that shit die. Like,
mhm.
don't announce it or mention it anymore until I
You gotta
actually see
stop talking.
something.
Well, they're not. To their credit, they haven't said shit. It's reporting from reporters like Jason Schreier and stuff that keeps fanning the flames of that game being alive. So, um, yeah, Montreal. So, what do you think of this Saber getting away from Embracer? Um, this is kind of an interesting tactic. You don't really see this too often where a company gets purchased by a bigger company and then eventually either buys themselves back or some other investment group or another company purchases them. But yeah, so what do you think of this news?
Yeah, I think it's really good for Saber. I'm glad they had the money, or they're being purchased right for 5 million or 500
Yeah, a
million.
private investor group. Yes. So we don't know who these people are. We don't know if it's a company or just a group of individuals. That's all a mystery. But essentially, I think what it means is Saber is going to be working independently again.
Yeah, I think it's really good that they're leaving. I think everybody should jump ship while they can, because this is crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, this is probably unprecedented, especially in video games, to see a company kind of, I don't know, dissolve like this. Like who knows? Like, will Embracer even be a company in a couple of years? Like, I don't know.
No, I don't. Maybe not. I don't think so. I think their whole goal was to build up their portfolio for whoever this investor was. I think they got wind of this investor years ago, and they were just slowly building up their portfolio for this investor, and then the investor pulled out at the last minute.
Yeah, yeah, which we think that investor was Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that basically fucked them though. Essentially, like they couldn't operate after losing that cash investment. Um, So yeah, this I mean they're continuing to dissolve here. We'll see. Gearbox is probably the next domino with them, but after that, I mean, who knows? I mean, they still have a lot of companies under them, even losing a couple of these major publishers. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see more stories like this or companies buying themselves back, in some way, buying themselves back into being private, in ways like that. I think we'll see more of this from Embracer for sure, and even in other places. Because let's get into the next story here. Toys for Bob. This is a development studio underneath Activision, or has been, and they are spinning off to go independent. They're basically buying themselves out from underneath Activision, and this is very interesting because this is a development team that has a pretty good pedigree. They were the ones that made the Skylanders games. They did the Spyro Reignited trilogy, Crash Bandicoot games, as well. I don't know if they did Crash Team Racing or not, but they've in recent years got absorbed into the Call of Duty machine and have become a Call of Duty support studio essentially, which is a shame because this is a good development team. So I'm actually really happy to see this, that they're going independent and kind of going to do their own thing. Whether they'll get purchased by somebody else in the future, the near future, who knows, or what they're necessarily going to do, because they don't have their own IP or anything like that. So going straight into making their own game feels kind of risky to me, but that may be the direction they go, or they may go see if some of the publishers are interested in doing something with them or giving them licenses to work with to make a game with. We'll kind of see what they do, but so yeah, Montreal. So this is another one unrelated to Embracer, obviously with Activision. We got another studio spinning off.
No, I think this is. I want to see. I wonder if this is an option for like other studios. Like, if y'all, I mean, obviously not for Sony,
I
where
mean, it
they have,
can be. It definitely can be. They need the capital to do it.
yeah. So obviously for like support studios like Sony, London or whatever, they probably can't do that because they're
Right.
like an actual branch of Sony. But I wonder, like independent studios, like if Ninja Theory was going to get closed down, right? Would they be able to, or they're about to face layoffs? Would they be able to just like buy themselves out of it, whatever the case may
Yeah.
be? So I wonder. That's interesting. I'm actually happy for them because I forgot because you said they made Skylanders, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
I actually like Skylanders.
All those games. I mean, I never played them, but yeah, I heard people were very positive on those games.
Yeah, and I heard the actual Spyro the Dragon trilogy was really good as well. Unfortunately, I didn't play Crash 4. I did play Spyro, and I didn't play Skylanders, but I remember when that game was out, like people actually really loved that game. People were buying the figures for it, and I thought it was actually a really cool idea. Um, and I was hoping it grew a little bit more than what it did, but it was kind of weird when they just shut down everything. I remember when that happened too, because
Hmm.
it was huge for a minute. Because this actually started the whole Disney Infinite project thing.
Yeah.
They got the idea from
Oh
them.
yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah, that whole toys. What were they called? I don't even remember what the genre was called. Toys to Life or whatever. I think that's what it was, or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah. That was a very interesting era. I remember because you know, I had a family, through my wife on her side of the family. There were younger kids, in some of her side of the family, and I remember they had Skylanders toys and Disney Infinite or Disney Infinity, whatever it was called. They had those toys, and it was just like it's like crazy, man, how big that stuff was. I remember Target and Walmart and shit, in their electronics department would have an entire like section of electronics dedicated to those fucking games and
I
toys and
think it
stuff.
was I think it was a really good
Um,
medium to bridge the gap because a lot of people were scared that toys were gonna go away at this time. Remember this was when like iPads and stuff really became popular, like
oh
the
yeah,
early 2012s or 2020s or 2010s rather,
yep,
and everything of that nature. Um, I thought this was a really good, gap bridger. It can still keep toy stores open and everything of that nature,
hmm
while getting kids into video games, stuff like that. And I kind of wish it continued. I mean, obviously they try to do the same thing with uh Smash Brothers and everything. That's where we have the fucking amiibos and all that shit like that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of sad this genre died because I thought it was really cool, actually, just to
yeah.
have physical products and everything like
Well,
that.
they're like action figures too. It's not like the Rock Band bullshit, where
Yeah,
you have a useless fake instrument. Like these are actual toys. Like
yeah,
that are characters. So they had a multiple purpose, so sort of like Amiibo, which is funny because Amiibo came out of this too, but they never made a game with Amiibo, you know, which I always found funny that they were as popular as they were, given the fact that there was no game really tied to them. They just gave you some bullshit in a bunch of Nintendo's games. So,
hmm
um,
it's funny. The reason why the company shut down or they stopped doing this is because Activision pressured the developers to release the game yearly with like minor differences and everything,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
wanted the other toys to be obsolete.
ugh, oh god, yeah, fuck, man, fuck that, dude. That's some
Yeah,
bullshit. All right, Moncho. Well, let's move on. We got more bullshit to talk about. WB Games,
oh
their
brother.
CEO, Warner Brothers CEO and president, of streaming and games, I guess is his full title. JB Perrette was talking during a strategy meeting, and he talked about their strategy going forward. And I'll just say some quotes here. So, quote. That's a great business when you have a hit like Hogwarts Legacy. It makes the year look amazing. Unfortunately, we also have disappointments. We just released Suicide Squad this quarter, which was not as strong. It just makes it very volatile. And he was talking about AAA game releases can be volatile. And then he went on to say they want to focus on four major franchises: Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and DC, and they want to expand into the mobile and multi-platform free-to-play space. And they think this will begin to start happening in 2025 through 2027.
Oh my god,
Um,
bro.
and I mean, what have I mean, is this guy paying attention to the industry right now, or what? Like, how do you take a? He literally mentions the two games that I'm sure we're going to bring up as examples of why they shouldn't be doing this. How are you going to bring up Hogwarts Legacy, which was a AAA single player only game, and it was the best selling game of the year, the first time that a non Call of Duty, non fucking Rockstar game was number one on the MPD charts in 15 years. You're gonna have that game, and then you're gonna have Suicide Squad, which is a fucking games as a service. You're gonna mention those games next to each other, and your strategy is, yeah, we're gonna go to the one that didn't work. Okay, I don't know. I mean, go ahead, man. I know you have things to say about this one. Go ahead.
I actually don't. I didn't I yell. I think I yelled all the time in the chat a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
think
you
I
did. You
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
I don't understand. First, I was looking at it from a consumer perspective, but now I'm looking at it from Avalanche's perspective that made the game. How fucking insulting is that to make the best-selling single-player game that outbeat Call of fucking Duty
Dude,
last
they
year?
have achieved something that nobody has
And
achieved.
it was
Even
a-
Elden Ring
it-
didn't do that.
That's-
Sony couldn't do it with all their exclusives. Like,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. How do you do
this
that?
is your leadership response? Like,
And
what
you-
the
and you-
fuck?
I mean, obviously it's Harry Potter, so it's not a dead IP or whatever. But like the last game that came out, like the major single player game, was the movie tie-in game that people really didn't really like that much. So that's what they were dealing with. That's what they were combating. You know what I'm saying? You had to deal with that shit.
Oh my god.
And they did it. And it was the best-selling game of 2023.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you're gonna sit here and say, it could have been live service.
Well, yeah, and I just here's another quote from him too, and this is just like infuriating. So, quote: rather than just launching a one and done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter, that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play in that world on an ongoing basis? End quote. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I think this is something. I guess WB is going to learn this the hard way. Where I think these companies need to stop taking these IPs, these big popular IPs like Harry Potter, DC Comics, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, whatever fucking IP you want to name, and trying to insert it into this live service, just endless monetization model, because sometimes it works, but I do think there's fatigue here. And I want to bring up that game I've been playing, Raven Dawn. Like, this game is successful and nobody knows about it. And it's a live service MMO, free to play MMO game. And it's very successful right now. And you want to know why? It's because the game was tailored to being that, like, it's made with quality. They're not trying to suck the player base dry with every fucking mechanic in the game. Like, the game is a game first, and then there's monetization built into it that makes sense and isn't offensive. It's shit that eventually I may be willing to put money into. Whereas, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, like, that's just the key on your point. That's what makes Helldivers so great. Like, we don't have to put money into the game at all. You actually can get the paid currency game in game. But like, me and Jet put money into the game, or whoever puts money into the game, because we can just buy it. Like, we can just do that, and we want to support the game company or whatever the case may be. So it's like the players will, like you were saying, will support it. But continue. Yeah, my bad.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, Helldivers is a good example too, right? Like, it's a game first, and then you kind of build a monetization model within that game that makes sense. And WB's not the company that's gonna figure this out. They're not gonna do this the right way. And I would be willing to put a lot of money down right now that whatever they're coming up with in those 4 franchises for live service games, probably all gonna fail. Like, I feel very confident in saying that. Why? Because look at Suicide Squad. That game is a fucking abomination in terms of its design tenets, like what it is trying to do as a game. And it's so obvious that the monetization at some point was extremely built into the game, and it still is, but they took some of it out to make it like palatable in some way, and it didn't even work. It didn't work. You can't just you can't remove those things. It's like part of the fabric of the fucking game, you know. And yeah, it didn't work. Like the games, I mean, the game sold a lot, but fuck, dude, like it's a flop. Like it has less players on Steam than fucking I think like old Batman games do. Like it's a joke right now. So that's pretty bad. For your so I don't know why do you see that with Suicide Squad and you see Hogwarts Legacy and you think, oh, we want to go in the Suicide Squad direction. You know, it's like I don't understand. I really don't get it. I just don't get the logic there. These business people are so fucking annoying to work for. I'm sure everyone at Avalanche is rolling the fuck out of their eyes right now and praying that this guy comes nowhere near their fucking studio in their next game. Because, like, you know, if he comes in and he's like, oh, we got to do this, we got to monetize this and this and this, and he's just going to ruin the next game, you know? Like, you're going to take Hogwarts Legacy and you're going to ruin it. You're going to make it something that everyone hates, you know? That's such a feel good story from last year, that game, you know? For a studio like Avalanche to have achieved what they did with that game and the sales milestones they did, like that's huge. But you know, then you get these guys like this who they just don't understand the industry. How do you see what Sony's doing right now? What's happening with Sony and their whole live service initiative completely falling apart around them, where they're basically, we're at the point where I feel like they're gonna release maybe less than 5 live service games where they wanted to have 10 to 15, you know? It's like, how do you see that? And then you see Suicide Squad and you're like, oh yeah, we want to go that direction. It's just, these guys are fucking idiots, Montrell. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. They're fucking idiots. Like how do you run this company? I don't understand. Like, how do you have this position that you have? Like, corporate America is bullshit. I'm so tired of it. That these people who are unqualified, don't understand the industry they're in, don't even understand the company that they're a part of and how it works, how their sales work, what their customers want. They don't understand any of these things, and they're the ones making decisions. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
This is what I personally think about, first of all, about the games in general, right? I feel like at the early stages of gaming, a lot of these companies, they did run and fall and stuff like that or whatever, but it was just like, that's the game industry or whatever, you know? You got to make it till you got to not fake it till you make it, but like, you just got to make it or whatever. And it was a part of the game. Like, if you didn't make a good game, your studio either failed or you can try to do it again or whatever. And it seemed like just watching a lot of retrospectives and everything like that, a lot of these game studios, like for instance, Insomniac, they had a lot of different chances to make good games and bad games or whatever the case may be. Now it's not like that anymore, unfortunately. I feel like in the industry, a lot of the people who are at the top, some of them are ready to retire.
Yeah.
They were game developers themselves, so they're not really thinking. It's almost like, I hate saying it because it's kind of cringe now, but it's like the boomer mentality.
Yeah.
It is cringe. It's cringe as fuck. I can't believe I used to say that shit all the time.
Yeah.
But like, it is like the boomer mentality, right? Where it's like a lot of us, and that's my biggest fear too. I fear like all of us as millennials are going to go into the boomer mindset, and it's super hard to fight off, at times. But anyway, I feel like a lot of the Gen X people or whatever who were running the studios when they were like young developers and then they became heads of other studios, they were running the studios in a way that, you know, a game developer would, and they necessarily wasn't really good with business or whatever. And I don't know, I feel like that's why we had the spontaneousness of good games. Like, you know, we don't get me wrong, y'all, we still get good games now. So let me clear that up. But it was something cool when you just went into a game stop rather, and you saw a game on the shelf and you just bought it because the cover looked fucking cool. Believe it or not, that's why I bought Mass Effect. I started off playing Mass Effect 2. I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Actually, I saw my friend play 2 seconds of it and it was like a cover shooter. I'm like, oh, it was like a cover shooter. And I played it. I went and bought it because I saw that 2-second, like him playing it or whatever. I played Mass Effect 2 and I went back and played Mass Effect 1, then Mass Effect 3 came out like a year later or something like that. or 2 years later, rather. I don't know.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's how I discovered like, fucking Monster Hunter off the back of a Game Informer magazine. Never played it, never heard of it. I just saw a big monster and a guy with a big ass sword in the stance about to fight each other. I was like, yes, I want to play that. And I went to GameStop. They had one copy left.
Mhm.
It was for that. But that's what the game industry used to be like. You know what I'm saying? It just used to be like it was I don't want. It wasn't a structure to it because it was
No.
art, and art is unstructurable in my opinion. And now corporate America has gotten to it, and a lot of the people that did run these studios, they left. They have families now. They're gearing up for retirement, and then these corporate suits come in and take it over, and then that's how we have the game industry that we have now. Yeah, we had billions of dollars into the game industry or whatever, but like a lot of people, even including myself, hate Call of Duty, right? But Call of Duty was a really good game at one point where like Call of Duty 4 came out and blew us apart. Like we were like, what the fuck? This is modern warfare. Like, oh my god, this is how they fight over in Afghanistan. Like it's so fucking
Mhm.
cool. IR lasers and shit like that. It was revolutionary at the time, whatever the case may be. Um and we don't get shit like that anymore because they've turned it into a machine. The thing about corporate America that I've learned is they don't really care about sustainability. They care about bleeding it dry until there's nothing left, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna move on to something else, and then they call that something else innovation, and then now we're gonna bleed the fuck out of that innovation until we bleed it dry. We can't use it anymore, and then we're gonna move on to something else. And unfortunately, they're trying to do it with video games, and it's not working for video games, and that's what we get. Corporate America thinks this is okay. Oh, layoffs, whatever the fuck. I don't fucking care. Their stocks probably went up, so they don't fucking care. Like, oh, we're gonna save a whole bunch of money. Laid off 9,000 employees over the fucking course of a year and a half. Like that's fine, and it's not fine. That's what happened in movies. Like the art went out of movies, and like we were like, oh man, Marvel is making. We're finally getting our stuff, but like at what cost? We got
No.
our good Marvel movies, right? But
Mhm.
it was at one cost. We got our good Call of Duty games, but at what cost? We got our good. No, we got our good. No, not good. We got our football games, but at what cost? We got
Yeah.
our sports games or whatever. We got the Spider-Man game we've always dreamed of,
Mm.
but at what cost?
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like they're all they know is how to bleed something dry. I said Destiny was one of the greatest concepts that went nowhere. Like
I know, right, dude? Remember how awesome it sounded before it came out? You know?
exactly.
And just like what it turned into. And bro, like I heard somebody say the other day on a podcast that Destiny is a better looter shooter than Borderlands.
It's
And
not.
I
It's not.
I just I'm like, dude, like what are you talking about? Oh my
I can still
god.
play
Like
Borderlands 2 to this day and have the
absolutely
time
can.
of my fucking life.
Absolutely. Borderlands 2 is great, you know? Again, a game has a lot of problems. I'm very
Oh yeah.
critical of it. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Destiny is like I know there's a lot of Destiny fans out there, but it is like a soulless game. It has no
At,
soul,
at this point,
you
it
know?
is. Destiny, that's what made Destiny 1 so really charming about it because they brought that game back from the brink of destruction. And they were like, no, we're gonna make this a good game. We're gonna get a good story. We're gonna get raids and everything of that nature. And it was just, I just remember the community was just like really fucking good. And Destiny 2 came out, and that's when it all went to shit. And we were just like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is Destiny 1.5. And then that's when I started to see the machine. Like, not with Destiny, I saw it way before that. But like, you have games like Overwatch. I I still to this day I hate Overwatch not because of what it is, but what it could have became. That world, those characters, the animation, the art style, everything is just there. They have the tools there, Justin. It's
Yeah.
just corporate media, corporate America
Yeah.
just sucked it dry out of all of its lifelessness.
They want to make games on an assembly line, and it's like you can't. It's just not
Can't do
possible
that.
to do that. You know,
Like
it's. I don't know.
I feel like that's what WoW used to be. WoW was this ambitious project to modernize MMOs. It fulfilled that that monetization, because like I know people probably get mad at me if I was in the other chat, if we were in our Discord. I don't feel like EverQuest was innovative. Like it was cool. It started the thing, right? But it looks like shit. Like
Well, it's a
even
game.
even
It's a
when I played
game.
it back then, and I was just
Yeah,
like, I don't get it. And then I played WoW, and I was just like, I get it. I fucking get it. Like I love this game or
it
whatever.
was a
But
game that wasn't. I don't think. I don't think EverQuest's goal. I don't think the goal of that type of MMO is for the game to be fun. And I think this is something that our friends don't acknowledge. Is like it's trying to be a D&D game in an MMO form.
mm,
You
that's
know,
that's a good that's a good
and
thing.
that's cool. And I'm sure if the way they do it, it's fun to the right people. Obviously, we have a couple friends that love the fuck out of it, but I want my game to be engaging at the same time.
Well, I feel like
Like
Baldur's Gate was one of those games where it had the best of both worlds. It
yeah,
knew what to do.
yeah,
It
oh
knew
yeah,
that the I love the D&D combat in it, but they know like a lot of people ain't gonna like this shit, bro. Like this is a very niche uh thing to do, you
yeah.
know?
What did we learn? That's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody loves it. D&D's awesome. It is awesome. It is really good. It's a great system. It's a great IP. You know what's so fucked up about that though? Larian's the one that got that, not the people who own D&D, Wizards of the Coast. They didn't have
Exactly.
any faith in the game. They had nothing to do with the game. They just said, "Yeah, sure, you can make a game. Go ahead." And Larian did all the work. They did all the heavy lifting, and Wizards of the Coast was like, "What the fuck? What? People like this?" Like they were surprised that Baldur's Gate 3 was so popular. They made like $100 million doing nothing, off that game.
But my thing is like that's what people always said. Like me and you, I I say, oh man, if they made a fucking like I play like Mage Knight or something like that, right? And it's nowhere near D&D or whatever. But I was like, man, this is a fucking video game, bro. Like with some good ass fucking production and shit. This would be a good ass fucking game. Or
Yeah.
what's the game we were playing now?
Oathsworn, yeah.
Oathsworn. Like if that was a video game with some good ass like money behind it in a
Yeah,
video
it had
game
like
format.
it had Baldur's Gate 3 level production and voice acting and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it would be an amazing. I actually think the world that game has is really cool.
Yeah.
But it's in a board game, and very few people are ever going to know about it. It's like it's kind
Exactly.
of a shame. It's like,
But that's
um,
another thing, right? Like I feel like it hasn't been.
that game would never get greenlit. By the way,
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like there's no way for a corporate to bleed the shit out of that shit, right?
yeah.
How would you bleed the fuck out of Oathsworn? I don't know, maybe release DLC packs, but it's like even then
You don't have to bleed it. I think this is why I get
but
so mad.
that's corporate America. Like that's
I know these
I don't
guys are
want to
so
be
frustrating. They're so annoying. These like corporate lifers, like these guys who they're just trying to become a CEO. That's their whole goal in life. And they're like a VP of whatever the fuck this guy is, VP of games and streaming and games. This guy doesn't give a shit about video games. He doesn't give a shit about WB. He doesn't care about anything that he's a part of. He cares about himself and how he can become a CEO as fast as possible. Well, I mean, he is a CEO, but like being a CEO is what's important to him. He doesn't really care about the success of the thing he's a part of or anything like that. These guys are soulless, fucking soul sucking like ghouls.
well,
That's what they are to me, and I fucking hate these people. And they're all over corporate America. They're not there for the right reasons. They're not actually trying to do a good job. They just want to make themselves look good so that they can move on. And the fucked up part about it is that when they don't look good, it doesn't matter. They make a company fail. Well, then guess what? They get let go as CEO. Well, they'll go be CEO of another company and fuck that one up too. It's
yep,
like it
yep.
happens all the fucking time. These guys who are failures just get more and more opportunities for no reason. They have no reason to get those opportunities. It's because they have friends in the right places. They know the right people. And this thing is a fucking cyclical. The whole thing is just a cyclical fucking boys club, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
bullshit. I hate
And
it.
I feel like that. I think another good example. This is totally not related to gaming.
I know
But I felt like
I'm getting off of gaming so hard right now. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
but no, but it is with gaming because I think a lot of people in gaming see this now. We saw the layoffs happen, and
Yeah.
like people are tired of it. But I feel like as far as like CEOs not caring or the executives not caring and things of that nature,
Yeah.
like I think Apple's a good example of this. After Steve Jobs died, I saw the shift in Apple, how the way they handled their products and everything of that nature.
Yep.
Um, and I guess people will counter that, like, well, Steve Jobs had this kind of vision. And it's like, I don't know. When he was like running Apple, he had a certain vision for it to be the kind of elite type deal, but like in a different type of way. Now it's just like we're releasing the Apple iPhone every year with minor upgrades. Like he really wanted to innovate, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the phone genre or whatever the case may be. Every time an iPhone dropped, it was a big deal or whatever. But now I'm on the iPhone 11 right now.
Yeah.
And the only big difference between the iPhone 11, in my opinion, is probably better specs. But 15 has like the USB or the USB-C port now. Like that's the big deal. Whoa, it's like I don't know. It's just stupid. But
Well, like I want to like give like a good example of this though, like with good CEOs is Microsoft. They've had 3 in their entire history as a company. And that leads to where they are now, where they are the biggest company on the planet. Like they're the most valuable company on planet Earth. That doesn't happen because you have these guys. These guys don't give a shit and they just want to be CEO and they want to move on and be more successful. The guys that have done this for Microsoft, they've been there, they've worked for the company. Like they didn't come in as CEO. Like they care about Microsoft. They want Microsoft to do well. They want to make good products. Like that's why they're successful. Say
mhm.
what you want to say about Microsoft. There's a lot of bullshit with Microsoft.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, we both
yeah.
work in technology. There's a lot of shit they do that's super fucking annoying. They're huge. They don't give a shit about their customers that much. But at the end of the day, it's hard to say that they don't make good products. They do. There's a reason we all use Windows, like there's a reason for that. And they become the preeminent service company in technology for a reason. And you don't get that with people like this guy giving this quote about like who just doesn't understand his own industry, that he's in. It's unbelievable.
Well, yeah. That's the problem with like third party publishing.
Yeah.
I don't think Sony really has an issue. I don't think Microsoft or Xbox division has an issue, and even like the big three, right? There's a reason they're the big three, and their CEOs are the big three, like Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan. And before him, I think it was Sean Layden, right?
Sean Layden, yeah.
Yeah, Sean Layden, and then now we have Hiroki Totoki, and for Microsoft, or sorry, for Sony, and obviously Nintendo, man. Like I don't really know too much about Doug Bowser. I think he was still raised in Nintendo, I believe, for a while. Let me actually look at this
Yes.
bio.
Yes, he worked for the company for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously before that was Reggie, and then Ottawa, and all this other stuff like that. And like those people were like raised in uh Nintendo or whatever the case may be, and and they understand the franchise, or they understand what they're doing and everything of that nature. So um I don't know. I feel like that's why they're successful and everything. But a lot of these third party publishers or whatever, like your Electronic Arts and your
Yeah.
fucking,
Yeah.
uh
WB, fucking
WB
2K,
Gaming,
Take Two
2K,
rather,
Take Two and everything
Activision.
like
Well,
that.
not anymore, but Activision,
Uh it-
Ubisoft.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was Activision, and even to a certain lesser degree, maybe Bethesda, but even them,
Yeah.
I feel like they understood what their role was, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just a really, now this is where the part where I'd be like, ooh, Japanese. I feel like the counterpoint to that is like you look at the Japanese third party publishers, with the exception of like Konami or whatever, right? Like a lot of them take pride in what they do, and it's not just to maximize profit. It is to maximize profit, but it's like we want to do it with like the best games possible. And I feel like one
Yeah.
good example of that is like Capcom, obviously, right? They had their little They had their dime spur when they tried to appeal to the West, and then they quickly realized that's not what people go to them for. Like
Yeah.
we go to them for the wacky shit or whatever the case may be. Sega is a good example of that and everything of that nature. Um, and then obviously now Konami is kind of trying to realize it as well. But like those that's the difference between like a Japanese publisher and like Atlas. Atlas is a really good example of that.
Mm.
Um, they recognize what their customers want and how to move forward. Compared to like EA, where I don't really think they know what their customers want. They just think we want sports, football, Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes on the card. I get 5 points because I spend $5, I get an $85 card or whatever. And they're trying to make like these digital rookie cards, and I don't think people want those. I think people want a quality game inside of a football simulator. They
What's the
want
point of a digital rookie card that's going to be obsolete the next year? Like, I don't.
it's
Where's the
it
What's the value in that? I don't
people
understand.
still buy it. And we have to put the earnest back on the whales. Like there's always
Yeah.
going to be a whale,
Yeah.
um and that's just unfortunate. Like I don't mind that or whatever. Like I feel like Genshin is a really good example. I know they have bad monetization schemes, but they also have a really, really good quality product. So a lot of
Yeah.
people don't feel bad when they put money into Genshin or Honkai Star Rail or whatever because they're
Yeah.
getting a really
Right.
quality product out of that.
Yeah.
I just think Ultimate Team and everything like that is just bad. I just think what WB is trying to do is bad. I mean, they try to do it with Shadow of War. It completely
Oh my
fucked that game up.
god, dude. Could you have a more? That's such a great example because could we have a more overt example of a game being influenced by the monetization within it? They literally rebalanced the game when they took the monetization out.
Yeah.
Like they literally did
You
that.
had to buy a booster, y'all, to play the game. Like an XP booster type
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
It was that
Like
bad.
it was super grindy if you didn't do that. Yeah,
So it's just hard to. I refuse, and maybe this is like a systemic thing to where Rocksteady had to pitch something like this to them to get the green light to do this. Maybe they really wanted to make a Suicide Squad game, but they could only make it if they pitched it in a monetized way. But I just find it really hard to believe that the people that made fucking got Batman Arkham series wanted to stain their reputation like this. They have a pristine they had a pristine reputation of being like one of the best superhero developed. Even after Spider-Man came out, people were just like, but bro, still doesn't measure up to Batman though, man. Like people were still felt that way about Rocksteady. And then this happened. And even the game itself is not bad. The gameplay, I look at the gameplay, I'm like, man, this shit would be actually kind of fucking fun. Like if it just had more content and wasn't tied to a fucking monetization scheme, live action or
mm.
live
Mm-hmm.
service or whatever the case may be. So for him to say all this type of shit and for like CEOs, I just think, man, like I guess my final thoughts is I just think we saw the innovation with Fortnite, we saw the innovation with PUBG, we saw the innovation in these genres that are really good. Um, well, PUBG's are still iffy. We saw I would just say Fortnite. I don't want to
Yeah.
give PUBG that credit. I'm sorry, y'all. I just
Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to give Bluehole that credit. But they see that innovation or they see that thing, and they just want to know how they can bleed the fuck out of it. And now I feel like the same thing's kind of going to happen with like Helldivers. Like we're going to get a whole bunch of fucking horde style shooters, but they don't
Yeah.
understand the essence of what made that shooter really good
Well,
or
even
whatever.
Helldivers itself, honestly, Sony's talking to them right now about, hey, we need to increase. Like, you guys have a lot of player engagement. We got to increase the revenue off this. Like, there's no way those conversations aren't happening right now.
Yeah. All it takes is for one person to get in one person's ear in that company and out that CEO, and then they can do it. And then there you go. We have
And
Arrowhead. And I
yeah,
think that's just corporate America though. Like or
but
not corporate America, but corporate in general.
you know what though, with Helldivers, just to like clarify the point a little bit, is
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think them having that conversation is inherently bad, right?
Yeah.
Helldivers if they want it to be a long-term game, they have to monetize it somehow, and despite what the CEO has said about them not, everything being free post-launch, they're going to have to go back on that if they want this game to last years and years and years. And I don't have a problem with that necessarily. Like, as long
But
as they don't do it in an offensive way that hurts the game, like, that could be okay.
okay,
So
but why does the game have to last years and years?
it doesn't. No, I know.
And that's my point.
We've had
Like,
that conversation. Yeah, it doesn't have to.
it
Right.
doesn't have to. I don't need my game to last.
Sony's not going to let that happen, though.
But that's yeah, you're right. I mean, that is the point that we're making. It doesn't.
I mean, literally, that's why the Last of Us one got shut down, because there was no long-term viability to it. It's like ridiculous.
That's so crazy.
They could have made $1 billion off that game, just off box sales, if they had sold it.
People wanted factions. Like, people wanted that game. And
No, I have to know what happened behind the scenes with that game. Like, I need the Jason Schreier expose so bad. More than any I've ever gotten. I need that one. I need to understand why that decision was made. Like, obviously, Sony gets a write-off because they never released it. So, like, they get to write down all the development costs, basically. Which that is probably the reason the decision was made not to release it. But what did they have? Because from everything I've heard in terms of rumors and stuff, and some certain analysts talking about this, that the game was actually really fucking awesome. And I'm so upset that we're never going to get to play it. It's so bullshit.
Yeah. And the simple fact that, Bungie came in there. I don't even think it's Bungie's fault. I think they were consulted to do that.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know that.
We don't know that. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Even like a company like Bungie, like, just from where they came to where they are now, it's just very sad to see them get caught up in the machine and then spit out.
They're the reason. Like, I think people like to give Bungie a get out of jail free card. They've made all the decisions that led them to this point. They developed Destiny the way it is.
Yeah, that's true. They had
yes, there was influence from Activision at some point in there, but they haven't been with Activision in 5 years, and they continue to double down worse and worse and worse on the decisions they made while they were under Activision. So it's like Bungie did it, What happened to Destiny 2 is Bungie's fault. It's nobody else's.
Yep,
like,
you're right.
Let's stop trying to like give them a scapegoat, because there doesn't need to be one. Okay, that doesn't mean they can't fix it. That doesn't mean Marathon can't be good. That doesn't mean Bungie can't turn it around and make a great game. But I don't know. I just get so sick of this. Like,
it's just,
everybody loves Bungie. They want Bungie. They want to have this view of Bungie like the way people talk about BioWare. It's like, it's not the same company, guys. Like,
it isn't. I just feel like, I guess, like, I think WB and the way the CEO thinks is unfortunately the way 90% of video game corporate America thinks. The executives up there think. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of, like, managers, even game development leaders, who are actively trying to fight against it. They have no option but either to go indie, like Toys for Bob, or they have to bow to the knee and they have to kiss the hand and give us money so we can make the game. We can sort of make the game that we want to make. There are rare companies that give them the green light to make the game they actually want to make, Mm-hmm. Then they try to justify it, though. Well, we gave you all this money to make this game, or whatever the case may be, where they probably don't even need that much money to make said game. I still, in my heart of hearts, can't believe Spider-Man cost $300 million to make.
Dude, and that's where the leaders come into me, is reining that in. Let Insomniac make a great Spider-Man game, but rein the costs in, Don't give them $300 million. They're going to hang themselves with that $300 million. Eventually that's what's going to happen, in some of these games, that's what happens, and that's where the corporate leadership comes in, and they that should be their job within it, not trying to make the game a certain way, but trying to make it affordable and, like, not fucking bankrupt the company to make a game. You know.
You know what? I and as much as we give Anthem and BioWare shit, it's a balance, right? Because EA was totally hands off on that game, and look what happened. Whereas, like, you should have been hands on in that game. They didn't even know about the game until it was about to be revealed.
Yeah, right. And the few times they did give feedback are the reasons the game had any amount of fun in it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So it's not like we're totally against like the corporate heads. They obviously know what they're doing, but it's like there's a balance that needs to be met, and that balance has not been met yet. It's always actually that's like I guess it's a story of our fucking lives. It's always like one fucking pendulum swing to the other pendulum swing. Yeah. No one's actually trying to meet in the middle and just fucking talk to each other. So I don't know.
All right. Well, let's move on, Montrell. Let's get off that and talk about something a little bit more fun. So Xbox had a kind of surprise little showcase today, or was it today? Yesterday. A partner preview that they did with a bunch of non-Xbox studios. So we're not going to talk about every game in here, but Montrell, there's a few that you were kind of a little jazzed about. So first one, I will say Final Fantasy XIV is coming to Xbox. It has a release date of March 21st. And that's huge. You know, I don't know how big the game will be on Xbox necessarily. Probably not super big, but that's cool that Xbox players will be able to play this game finally. And there will be a starter edition on Game Pass Ultimate as well. I don't know what that's necessarily going to entail necessarily, but so that's cool too. But that's in preparation for Dawn Trail coming this summer. I'm sure Square's happy to get this done. So, Montre, you gonna play Final Fantasy on Xbox?
Nah, probably not. I'm still gonna play it on PC.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough. All right, and then Capcom, this game Kunitsugami: Path of the Goddess,
action strategy game, which is really cool.
Yes, it's an interesting combination of genres. Yes, normally that would be like an RTS, but that's not what this is at all. It's a very interesting looking game. It has some elements of kind of like almost like you're kind of like defending a town sort of. But it's an action game also. Like, I don't know. Like, go ahead and give us your thoughts. What do you think about this game?
Well, yeah, like it's like there's like a day and night cycle. The day cycle, you kind of do various tasks around the village you're at to free certain like villagers and I think you even gather materials and stuff like that and open up doors and unlock certain things. And then all your efforts are rewarded at night. And the night cycle comes in, and that's where it's like a tower defense type game where monsters come in from various portals and stuff like that to attack the village. And you use the villagers you save. Each villager may have their own certain stats, classes, and things they may do. You place them in certain parts of the path of where the enemies are coming and they will attack. And then you also, this is where the action portion comes in. You also have your own move set. You're doing moves almost akin to like, Bayonetta or Devil May Cry or whatever, but not as flashy because obviously it's not the main focal point of the game. But it is some really cool, flashy looking animations and stuff that you can do. And you can, have CC and everything of that nature. So I think of it as almost like a Dynasty Warriors meets a tower defense meets a Harvest Moon type deal, with a little bit of like Monster Hunter-esque type combat as well. I think it's really cool. I think it's very Capcom. It gives me very early Capcom vibes. Like this is something that would have came out back in the day that was just something weird and quirky that Capcom used to do. I'm actually looking very forward to this game because I just want something different, and this looks very different from like everything we've been getting so far. So
it's coming this year. Yeah, and I mean it looks really unique. I don't know if there's going to be co-op in it or anything like that. Maybe that seems like something that would be kind of cool in this game, but even if there's not, it's a very unique idea, and I think we need more of that energy in video games right now. I feel like
so I think hopefully they show this on the PlayStation showcase. It is coming for Xbox and Windows. I'm trying to see if it's for PlayStation. I
It is
can't
for
really.
It is for
Yeah,
PS5
so
too.
hopefully
Yeah.
they show this on the state of play because I really want this game to do well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything of that nature. So yeah.
All right. Well, moving on. The next one was Persona 3 Reload is getting an expansion pass, which is called Episode Aegis, the answer.
Aegis maybe?
Well, yeah, but
Aegis?
Aegis would be AE. It's AIGIS. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, it's an expansion pass. I don't think this is like new content for Persona 3. I think this is from one of the editions of the game um that they are now releasing as DLC for this remake. So but more content kind of justifying the fact that I didn't jump into this game right away. I'll probably be waiting a while for this one cuz the way Atlas is there or sorry, yeah, the way Atlas is with this series, like it'll probably get some kind of reloaded at some point with additional content. So I'll probably wait for that. But what about you, Montreal? You want to play Persona 3 Reload? Just no
I don't.
time for it, right?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Persona 5. I'm gonna get like 75% through it and then just fucking
You have
drop
got
it.
to commit. Yeah, you have to be able to commit to these games because you can't drop it. It's not a game you can drop. It's
Yeah.
just they're too intricate and there's too much detail in it for you to walk away for a couple months and come back to it. You're going to forget everything, and have no idea what the fuck is going on. So yeah. Other things announced, the Stalker trilogy is dropped on Xbox. So that's Shadow of Chernobyl, Clear Sky, and Call of Pripyat. They're available now. And Montreal, you like this series, right? Stalker.
Yeah, yeah. I prefer if you guys are going to get into Stalker, this is a really good starting point. The game's really old. It's been out for like 10 years, so they probably modernized it on Xbox on this here.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say play it on here because they probably modernized the controls. This is not a remaster, right? Or is it a remaster?
No, I think it's like a port.
Yeah, it's a port. But usually, even if it is a port, they probably remat or modernize some of the controls and everything. But if you really get into it, there's a huge modding community for this that modded the game to where it's not even like the base game anymore, and it's like really fun and everything of that nature. I
Mm-hmm.
strongly recommend if you like the Stalker series, you played it on backwards compatibility, get it on PC and play the mods. There are even mods that are approved by the developers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as like canon and stuff like that, or just as fun things to try out and play and everything of that nature. That the developers themselves were like, yeah, like that's cool. We're probably going to add that into Stalker 2 when it comes out, whatever the case may be. Um, yeah, it's just one of those games where like if you're really into that Soviet era technology, like I'm a gun guy, so I do like AKs and all that stuff like that. Um, if you just really like stuff surrounding that type of shit, I don't know how to explain it because it's not really like a genre because not all gun guys are into that type of shit.
Yeah.
But if you're like into the survivor genre games, like the whole Fallout, but like way more serious type shit,
Mm.
I recommend the Stalker games for sure because
Okay.
it's a really dark world. So I
Cool.
like it though.
All right, and then the last one was called the First Berserker Kazan. This is what is being called Souls like, and
Yeah,
it's
it's real Souls like.
yeah, it's pretty it's kind of cartoony looking actually a little bit. At least the character models are,
Yeah,
but looks pretty solid. You seemed interested in this one.
yeah. It seems like a more. It seems like they went more the Sekiro route than
Mm-hmm. There's a
uh
parry. There definitely seems to be a parry system in here.
yeah. So that's what I'm more interested in because I'm actually glad they went that route. It looks like instead of going because it's like it's the anime style. Like if you look at the character models up close, they show the character face.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. Yep.
Uh. So yeah, it looks like they went that style, which is okay. Um. I like when games do that instead of going like the it's like the Bloodborne Sekiro style. I don't like the traditional Soul style anymore. Like I that shit is like not fun to me anymore, to be honest with you. It's just
Yeah.
boring now. Like people it's been done like 500 times already.
Well, you're not doing it better than From did, so why
Yeah,
even bother? You know.
exactly. Like I don't know. I understand being inspired and everything, but there's just sometimes where you can't outdo the masters of that said genre or whatever the case may be. One game that I did want to talk about though,
Mhm.
before we go was The Altars. I think this game looks really fucking cool. Uh, it's it's a game that you have to go out and gather materials and stuff like that. So it's like a
Mm,
gather harvest moon type game. But I don't know if you guys played. You ever played that cell phone game or mobile game Fallout Shelter? You
I've
have
heard of it. I remember it, yeah, but
Yeah,
no.
so you have like a actual thing that looks like the Fallout shelter where you have crew members and you can do different stuff. But instead of like, you just like watching them do it and then occasionally if something will happen, you actually go
Mm.
out and get the materials yourself and everything like that. So it
Oh.
blends like action adventure, or it blends adventure rather, not really action, but survival and base building elements and everything like that nature. So I do like that, and I'm a sucker for like anything in space. That's like my genre.
Yeah,
So
this looks really cool, actually.
yeah, and you can build relationships with said villagers, or people inside your base and everything of that nature.
Mm.
And certain things may happen and everything of that nature. I don't think this game's getting talked about enough because it's on Xbox, but this game looks
It's coming to
very fucking.
PlayStation as well.
It is okay, cool.
Yeah.
This game looks very fucking cool. I hope they have a spot on like one of the state of plays or whatever because this is a very unique. This is one of those other games that look very unique. They're trying something not necessarily different, but like blending genres to make something different. If that makes any sense. So yeah,
Yeah, this is really interesting, dude. Yeah, this looks really cool. I don't know, it's the kind of game that I want to play, you know? It's just like you never find time for it, you know?
yeah.
Um, I need to do better about that. That one looks very interesting. I'm gonna keep that one in mind going forward. So there was some other stuff shown here, but nothing else that we're
Yeah,
really interested
I
in
do
necessarily. But
recommend y'all go watch it. It was actually a pretty decent
yeah,
third party preview. There are a couple little indie games I'm actually going to be interested in looking at as well.
mhm,
So I do recommend people take a look at it. It's not nothing to scoff at.
yeah. Frostpunk 2 was did get a release date too, which is July 24th this year. That's actually fairly notable. That game,
Yep.
first game was pretty popular. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about Helldivers 2 a little bit. So this was interesting. Matt Piscatella kind of went out of his way to talk about the sales trend with this game, and he said he called it an inverse decay curve. Basically meaning that most games when they come out, they have a very large first week, and then they fall off very quickly in weeks 2, 3, and then eventually they plateau, and they're selling very little week to week, generally. Whereas Helldivers has actually had the opposite of that, where their first week was big, but their second week was bigger, and their third week was actually bigger than the first 2 weeks. So this game is a very interesting case study on kind of, I guess, consumer behavior within video games. Is that it's possible for you to buck that normal trend that I'd say 99.9% of games follow, where their sales all happen within the first few weeks, and then it's kind of like a trickle after that for the most part. But yeah, Marshall, what do you think about this?
I think it makes sense. I mean, the first week it came out, it was plagued with bugs and everything of that nature. And even the developers were like, don't buy the game right now and everything of that nature. But it still sold insanely well just because of word of mouth. Um, and then once they start fixing everything and everything started getting better, the memes started coming. They're very engaged with the community. And you see that shit on the timeline. You see that shit on Reddit. You see that shit on other forums and everything of that nature. And it actually makes you want to play it more or be involved in said community. And I think that's what happened. I think a lot of people are just like, it's just one of those word of mouth things that just keep going and going until they can't, grow anymore.
And they had a good price point too at $40
At
a month.
$40, you can't really
Yeah.
beat that right now.
Yep.
You get a quality experience for $40. Um, So yeah, I am proud of them. I mean, I think this is a really good thing to happen. In my opinion, the last game to do this, even though it's free to play, was Fortnite. Like Fortnite had that kind of effect on people where it just
Mm,
grew and grew and grew because
mhm.
the game was good. The community was there, and it had like a large. The community is really what made Fortnite what it is today. And I think Helldivers is going to be another one of those things where it's the community that makes it what it is,
Yeah,
combined with like creator feedback and um, interaction and stuff like that.
yeah. Um, have we talked about Joel yet with this game? I don't think we've done that on the
No,
pod.
no, we haven't talked about Joel.
No. So just for everybody who's not familiar with Helldivers 2 and what's going on, so they have a what is basically a game master in their studio who is the one kind of controlling and running the whole war effort going on behind the scenes. So he's giving the robots and the bugs reinforcements and kind of repositioning them and moving them around and changing what their focus is in that. And yeah, this is such a cool people. I mean, it's become a meme very quickly where people, are blaming Joel whenever shit goes bad in their missions, but it's this is an awesome concept that I think more live service games need to take note that this is how you should be approaching your game. That this is not a game that has a schedule of content, like you're not there isn't something that happens every Monday where there's like a reset or something new happens or the next event starts or something like that. That's not the way they're approaching this game. They're doing it more of a live kind of almost whimsical where they're kind of deciding what to do in the moment. And I love the approach here because it makes the game feel more organic, that there's actually some thought process happening in the way the game is structured and what planets are being attacked and like what the focus of the player base should be as a community
Hmm.
going on at any given time. And I think it's a really smart approach rather than your like Apex style every 3 months you get a new battle pass, you get a new patch, you get a new fucking champion, and every few seasons you get a new map, like that kind of cadence that people get used to. And I think that has become the norm with live service is you're supposed to have that cadence. That's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think having your player base on a schedule is actually smart because eventually people are going to burn out on that,
It feels very corporate.
Yes, it is extremely corporate, whereas this is much more fun. This almost feels like you're all the whole community in this game is in a giant D&D campaign, Like
Exactly.
that's more what it is, and it's like that's fucking cool, dude. Like that is really cool. It's a really cool concept.
Yeah, and I actually like it. You can actually, uh, I agree with you. It's one of those things where it's like, uh, even though you may not feel like there's a D&D or you may not think, oh, Joe has an impact, it's one of those things where you can feel the mission. I would say it's akin to like, say like you go on a Monster Hunter mission and it's like, oh, we've hunted this silver Rathalos 20 times over. Nothing's
Yeah.
going to happen. We know the drill. We know what to do. We know what area is going to be in. Then you join your fifth Rathalos mission and a fucking Anjanath comes out of nowhere. Fucking Mr. Pickle comes out of fucking nowhere, and Devil Joe. That's Mr. Pickle, y'all. Devil Joe comes out of nowhere, and you just got all these monsters. You're like, what the fuck? Like, because the game master knows, like, okay, everybody's doing this mission. I need to bring some like extraness to it, and you
Oh
can
my
feel it.
god, what a great idea you just gave me. Monster Hunter. Dude, imagine Monster Hunter. This should be something they need to implement actually, dude. I love this idea. Where like you go on a hunt, right? You're trying to hunt a specific monster. But you know how there's always other large monsters on the map? There's usually
Mhm.
3 of them. And maybe they can increase that number with Paradise. I hope they actually do. But like there should be one of them that is like a predator, you know, where if they see you in the hunt, like they come across you in your party, they hunt you for the rest of the hunt. They don't leave. They never leave unless you kill them or like fight them off. They don't run away or anything like that. If you just try to run, they will just chase you and try to hunt you down and track you. while you're trying to fight your normal hunt monster that you're trying to kill. That's a fucking awesome concept. I love that. That's such a great dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
so
you
like
gave me a you gave that to me. That's so cool. That's such a cool idea. They should be doing shit like that, man. Like more dynamic gameplay, you know?
yeah, exactly. And I mean that would require them to have a human, but they want to automate everything,
Well,
right?
not in that specific case. What I just pitched, they could do that in an automated way. One of
Yeah.
the monsters gets designated like randomly as a predator before you don't know which one it is. You know,
Hmm.
um, I like that. Like just
And
things like
and
that. Yeah.
that used to
Sorry,
be like
I totally threw
Devil
you off,
Joe's
but
gimmick when he first got
yeah,
released. I remember
yeah, yeah.
that was his thing. Like he would come in there and fuck with you the entire fucking mission or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Um, so he was dynamic in that exclusion, but it was he would show up randomly in missions, and you're like, what the fuck? And I used to like that about Devil Joe, but they kind of like
Yeah,
took
no
that out.
basil goose
Yeah, and Basic
in
Goose, yeah,
world.
he would just
Just
dive
dive
bomb on you.
bomb you and the monster and leave.
And
That shit was so funny,
it
man.
was annoying, but it was also fun as fuck.
It's
I
a
really
really endearing part of the game, though.
yeah,
Honestly,
and
yeah.
that's pretty much like what Joel does. Like he would like if we're getting like 99% close to liberation of the planet, and then you wake up next day and it's like at 50%. That's because like Joel done ramped up all the missions for that mission or for that planet or whatever. And I like that. I like that type of shit. I think that's really cool. I think and I mean, I'm pretty sure he has some kind of parameters he has to follow where he can't do it too much or whatever. Um,
Absolutely. There's got to be
but
some rule set he's abiding by.
yeah, but I feel like it's just really cool to go against somebody that you know is actively trying to destroy your life. So that's cool.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of games, like the AI is not designed to play like that
Hmm.
generally. They're usually very stupid in the way they play, and I just like the idea that there's a human entity behind it all, kind of controlling the whole thing and trying to defeat the community. And it's like
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a really cool thing. So I don't know. I think live service games should take note of that. Like that's a concept I think more games should adopt in the way they kind of engage with their community is more directly like that. So all right, Montreal, let's move on to our next story. Nintendo has won a lawsuit against a Switch emulator called Yuzu, and that emulator is shutting down operations immediately. And there's a whole bunch of other ones popping up. However, I kind of wanted to talk about this, not necessarily because of the lawsuit or Yuzu. I don't really care about that in question. This is more of a philosophical thing that I wanted to just kind of see how you feel about this. Like, because a lot of people are upset that Nintendo's doing this and that they're taking down the Switch emulator. So I don't know. Like, what do you think about this?
um, I knew it was gonna happen. I don't know how this is okay. I don't know how I don't know how people thought this would be okay for a current gen system. Like it was
That's
like
where
three.
I'm coming from. Yeah,
Yeah, if it was like 2 gens ago, or maybe even 1 gen, I'll give you that. Um,
Wii U was a long time ago.
yeah, I, I can give you that, and that's cool. But I mean, I don't understand why people are so upset about this. I mean, yeah, you could unlock a lot of people what they were doing, where they would buy their Switch to be morally correct or whatever. Right? This is what they were doing.
Hmm.
They'll buy their Switch, um, just to give Nintendo the money, but they wouldn't pirate the games. They'll actually buy the games. And I think there's like some kind of disk or software or hardware where you can plug into your computer, and then you could run the Switch emulator off that disk or whatever. And they'll play the games like that, but unlock frames and everything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Which I understand. You want better game quality for your games. You don't want to play it on the Switch, um, because yeah, I mean,
Oh my god.
it
Okay.
sucks at this point.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that's what they were doing, but not everybody was doing that. And as hard as I am on Nintendo and pirating, I like I believe in pirating in certain instances and everything like this. I think Nintendo is in the right because this is a current system. Like it's not
Mhm.
like
They're literally trying to sell this thing
yeah,
right
yeah.
now in stores.
It's not like how we want ROMs for older games, and Nintendo simply just won't give it to us.
Right.
Like we can go out and still buy this product and buy the
Yep.
games for the said product and everything of that
Totally.
nature.
Yep.
I believe like now if they're shutting down like Super NES emulators and stuff like that, then that's when I'm like, Nintendo, give us a way to play these games. There are no ways to play the games. That's when I think pirating is like morally correct, because there's no other way for me to give you money to play this game. So I'm going to go out and get the way I can get it and play it that way. If that makes any sense. If I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, I largely agree with that. I think, in general, like obviously it's legally still illegal to do
Yeah,
that, but
exactly. Yeah.
I would say if it's like I'll bring up Berwick Saga as an example, right? The only way for me to play that game is on an emulator. Like I could go buy the disc, but it was never translated for the United States, so I would be playing it on a PS2 in Japanese. I can't do that, so the only way for me to have played that game was through an emulator with a translation patch added to it. And that game is never getting re-released ever. I literally like there's no shot that game is ever getting re-released. And it's one of my favorite games I've ever fucking played. So that's kind of an example where I like, there's justification there. Now, if you're playing Ocarina of Time on an N64 emulator, yeah, you're a lot less, there's a lot less like leeway there for me. Like you can buy Ocarina of Time 18 different ways right now,
Yeah.
and it's not that expensive. So but to the point about the unlocked frames and playing it on PC, buying the game and playing it on PC because you don't want to play it on your Switch, I don't I don't actually have a lot of sympathy for that, to be honest with you, because um buying something like a game doesn't give you carte blanche access to do whatever the fuck you want to it. And Nintendo would not approve of that either. Even if you're buying the game and you think you're okay by doing that, you've given Nintendo money. Nintendo doesn't care in the sense that they intended for the game to be played on their hardware in the specific way that it plays on their hardware. They did not release it on PC. They didn't release it to be played on this emulator. And whatever you're doing, if you're taking videos, putting it online, you are representing the game in a way that Nintendo did not intend. And that to me is like that's where the line gets drawn. It's like, and again, the whole thing with this is current gen. Like this is a product that Nintendo is still trying to sell, the Switch in stores, you know. Um and we all know that the vast majority of people are using these kind of emulators for piracy. Like let's stop pretending that that's not the case. There's like, oh, I want to do these certain things with it. Oh, I'm still buying the game or whatever. Yeah, sure, maybe you are, buddy, but like I bet you 9 out of 10 the other 9 people out of the 10 of you are not. They're just pirating the fucking ROMs and playing the games for free. So I don't know. It's weird that there is so much consternation about this because it's like this is kind of an open shut situation to me. It's like, yeah, maybe in 5 years when the Switch isn't being sold anymore and we're on the next console, yeah, Switch emulator is okay to exist, but like when the product is still in stores, like that's like a bridge too far, man, in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't have much more to say about it than that. It's just like I just think it's interesting how much controversy there is around this one. Like people are really upset about this thing getting shut down, and Nintendo going at this, but it's like, this is a case where Nintendo's litigiousness like makes sense and is totally what they should be going after. Like, rather than like fan projects and shit like that. Like this is something that actually could realistically hurt their console sales,
Yeah.
and game sales. So, anything else you want to say on that one?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's move on, Montreal. So this one's not game related, but I wanted to bring this up because this is kind of a big deal. If you're our age and you grew up in the aughts and grew up with YouTube through your teenage years the way we did. Rooster Teeth has announced that they are shutting down after 21 years. They were unable to find a buyer for them, and they're not going to be able to operate any further. So this is, I mean, I think everybody knows what Rooster Teeth is, but they're one of the first groups that made the kind of YouTube show type content. with Red versus Blue, and then eventually they made their own original series with Ruby. And they've done many other things other than those things, but they were probably what I would call a pioneer in the YouTube space early on, certainly. And they have this whole big announcement that, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there definitely is some tooting their own horn in here, which I find funny given the fact that they're literally closing. Like it's a letter about them closing, and they're like, "Oh, we were so great back in the day," and it's like, okay. But yeah, I mean, this is probably going to be sad for many people, I assume, but um from my perspective, I haven't engaged with Rooster Teeth or their content very much over the years. Really, the big one I've ever watched is Ruby. I have seen a majority of that series and did enjoy it for the most part. There's some cool elements to it, but it was nothing mind blowing. I do think, and then I think the other thing to keep in mind too with Rooster Teeth is they've often over the years had many controversies around the way they treat their workforce. They're not a clean company in that regard. So, Montrell, what was your kind of experience with Rooster Teeth? Were you somebody that kind of engaged with their content over the years?
I used to like the Red versus Blue series, like you said, the early works. Like you said, they were the pioneers of like machinima. They were
Mm-hmm.
spin-offs of machinima and everything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that. I did like Ruby when they made that with Monty Oum.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Before he passed away, he was like
Yep.
one of their lead animators and stuff like that. He was actually one of my friends, Tori. Uh, his like mentor, and like Tori was a huge animator. He was a huge fan of Monty and everything of that nature. And he actually
Mm-hmm.
got, I don't know if he got to work with him, but Monty did like critique some of his work and everything of that nature, which is like fucking huge to have the
Mm-hmm.
person that you look up to critique your work and tell you what you need to work on and everything of that nature, like
Mm-hmm.
directly. And even Tori and DJ, they worked for um they actually used to work for Rooster Teeth and everything of that nature. Um, I believe Tori and DJ did the Dante versus Bayonetta fight, and then there was going to be a spinoff one where it was going to be I forgot Bayonetta's sister name, but her sister and
I
then
forget her
Trish was
name
going to
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
her his sister and Trish was going to fight, and DJ animated that whole fight, but they didn't they unreleased they didn't release it for some reason. Um, And yeah, and Tori did a whole bunch of other fights for them and everything of that nature. He did the Solid Snake versus um Sam from Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. He did
Mm-hmm.
that one. Um, he did some other ones too. I know those were like his big hits. Oh, he did the Sephiroth versus Virgil fight. He did the um Raiden versus Wolverine fight as
Mm-hmm.
well. So he did some of their big hits and everything. Because that's Death Battle was from Rooster Teeth and everything. Um, a lot of people don't know that, but that was a part of their thing and everything of that nature. He worked on Genlock, which is one of their shows along with Ruby. Uh, and then he went on to obviously he's working for another company. I don't want to give away the company he's working for now. But yeah, he did a lot of stuff. So I personally don't like. I have a connection with the company through my friends. But even then, there were signs on the wall, and I remember hearing stuff and everything of that nature. And like you said, they kind of had their own asses around that time as well. Um, and everything. So I'm actually surprised, to be honest with you, they lasted this long. I'm
Me
surprised
too.
this didn't happen like 5 years ago. Wow, that lightning was crazy.
Yeah, it's been storming all day.
um, Damn, could y'all
Ooh,
hear
I
that?
just heard that, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa, damn. Holy shit. Wow. Okay.
If I go out, that's why, y'all.
Yep. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's go.
But yeah, yeah, that was I'm actually surprised that they lasted this long. I thought in 2020, I thought they were going to be done, in my opinion,
Mhm.
because they really haven't been dropping anything. I know Ruby was Monty Ohm's project. That was like his baby before he passed. Unfortunately, it was unexpected that he passed as well. They kind of took over the mantle and everything of that nature. And I know Ruby has a huge fan base, But in my opinion, I haven't watched it after the first season. Uh, and just because like when he passed, like the direction of the show kind of went in a different way, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's sad for them to go, but I kind of feel like they overstate their and they didn't utilize their gift of what they had.
Hmm.
They were an internet staple, but it's almost like, I don't know if you remember these people called college humor. Um, that was really popular in like the
Yes,
early
I do remember them.
2010s and early 2000s of like, or late 2000s, early 2010s of internet culture, how they died out and everything of that nature. And I felt like, unfortunately, they lasted way longer than them. The buzz feeds and everything, I put them in that echelon, and they just didn't evolve with the times or whatever the case may be. And uh you know, I hate to say it, but the company is kind of ran by millennials who are still in that mindset, and it didn't go anywhere because of that. In my opinion, they should have let younger talent come in and try to move it forward
Hmm.
and everything of that nature, and it didn't. Um, Unfortunately, this is where we're at today.
Yep, fair enough. Well, yeah, it's kind of a big one that is going away, but um, we got plenty of stuff in its place. Yeah, Ruby. Just to speak on that real quick, is a was an interesting series. I think when it started, it was a really cool concept, and there's some actually really cool fight scenes in that show from an
Yeah.
animation standpoint. But I think this show went on way too long, especially after Monty's death. I'm sure he had some stuff planned out for it, but
Yeah.
I think at the point that it's at now, and it's not going to finish. Actually, I think it's on volume 9. That's what I was kind of looking that up while you were talking. It's on volume 9, and they did not finish the story in volume 9. And I don't
Mm.
think there's going to be a volume 10 now that this is happening, unless the rights to it get sold to somebody, which is very possible, actually. Certainly, it's popular enough. There is a large enough fan base that maybe
Yeah.
that'll happen. But
The main character is super
um,
popular. She's on Grand Blue, and she's
yep, yep.
guest characters in other gotcha games and everything of that nature.
Hmm.
So
Yep. But yeah, it's just a show that I think overstayed its welcome. Like they kind of dragged out the story, and there's a couple of seasons. It's like 2 or 3 seasons. Like I think it was like seasons 4, 5, and 6 that it's just like they don't even really need to be there. Like it just feels like a giant like side quest, the whole thing,
hmm
to me. And I didn't like it because it 7 and 8, I think I watched. Those are the last two I watched. I haven't watched 9. 7 and 8 are actually pretty good seasons, but like where the show kind of got refocused again on a kind of the main conflict. That was the overarching conflict for the whole series. But I don't care enough. Like volume 9's been out for a year and I didn't even know. I don't like I don't know. I like lost track of it over time. Like the first couple seasons were like more of like almost like a Harry Potter style like kids at school type storyline, and I that was a lot more interesting than what the show ended up becoming ultimately. So
yeah,
um but we'll see if it does get picked up by somebody. I could totally see that. So all right, Montrell, let's move on to our next story, which is Fallout, the TV show. Got a trailer today, and it looks actually decent from
yes,
Amazon. I like the tone of it a lot. I think it kind of plays into what Fallout, at least this trailer presented it in a way that what Fallout should kind of be in a TV show form. So, what did you think of it?
uh, yeah. I watched it, and I actually liked the tone of the show. I got upset, and not because of anything. The main character is a woman, and then they showed another character who's black, and I was just like, "Oh no!" And the reason that you may think I was like, "Oh no," is because of woke culture, and it's like actually the opposite. I was like thinking like people, are, "Oh my
The
god,
reaction to it,
yeah,"
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And I was just like, I hope it doesn't fall into that." But if I don't know if you guys watch Westworld, but uh, that producer
yes,
uh who did Westworld, in my opinion, was like a perfect fit for Fallout. When I
yeah,
watch Westworld, I'm like, I used to watch it, I'm like, I wish this was Fallout. And now I'm finally getting that. Or
yeah,
hopefully I'm finally getting that. Um he picks good projects. So uh hopefully, and he has the backing of Amazon as far as the budget and everything of
Mm,
that. So I think it's going to be really good. It looks everything looks accurate. It doesn't look like it's trying to mess with anything, if that makes any sense. It doesn't look like Halo. There you go. It doesn't look like
yeah,
Halo.
yeah,
Uh so yeah. The only thing I think they will get wrong is how what the Brotherhood of Steel actually is. Because even the video, like the current Fallout, got that
gets that wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, we have to remember that Fallout is not Bethesda's IP. They didn't make it. They didn't create it. That's why I don't engage with it very well because I don't believe Bethesda ever understood what it was. Um,
Exactly.
and it's really frustrating actually the more modern games to see what they've done with it. It's just like I don't know. So, but I will say this show doesn't look bad. I it's something I might actually watch. I mean, it's going to be on Prime. It's they're not doing the weekly release thing. They're releasing all the episodes at once when it releases. So I may actually check this out as a result of that because I like binge watching shit.
Hmm.
And it's very soon actually. It's in a month. In April. It's coming in April. So April 11th actually. Which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, no,
um
I think
yeah.
it's gonna look really cool. Like I said, the only thing I can see a lot of people complaining about is the Brotherhood of Steel, and I uh especially when the guy said, "Why did you join the Brotherhood of Steel?" and he said that hurt people that hurt me or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Um, I can see. I hope Jet doesn't take this offensive, but I know he doesn't listen to podcasts. But I can see the Jets of the fan base being riled up and like, that's not the actual correct way. The Brotherhood, you were born into the Brotherhood of Steel. It's like a clan or whatever, and which is actually true. It's like you're born to the Brotherhood of Steel. They rarely bring outsiders. That's what they call them in, and their whole mission is to preserve technology. They're not trying to protect anybody or take over anything. If they're doing it, it's only because they want to preserve old world technology and leave it out of the hands of all these vault or not vault dwellers, but outside world people who are less than them or whatever the case may be.
Mm. Mhm.
That's the true mantra of the Brotherhood of Steel. Um, but yeah, I mean that severely changed after Fallout 3. They don't even like
Yeah.
abide by that rule anymore. They try to keep it in New Vegas, but Bethesda doesn't even acknowledge New Vegas or whatever. And I think this is on the East Coast,
I hate
so
that
the
they own that IP, dude. It's so
yeah.
annoying. They're like they might be the worst company to have inherited Fallout. Like genuinely, like it's so crazy to me.
And I think lore wise, the way they justified the Brotherhood still acted in 3 and 5 or 4, sorry, because there isn't a Fallout 5. So 3 and 4 rather is the Western or the Eastern of Brotherhood of Steel factions completely broke off from like the old way of the Western, and it happened in another game called Brotherhood of Steel Factions, I think, or Fallout Factions Brotherhood of Steel or something of that nature, where they kind of broke off in Chicago, and that's where like the ideology kind of changed. So the ones on the Eastern Front of like in Boston, New York, Washington D.C. and everything on that East Coast, they are more so like we're trying to liberate and bring people together and use our technology to you know improve people's way of life, but by pure force. And then on the Western side, they're still more so on that old mantra of the original Brotherhood, still thinking we're preserving technology. We don't care about anything else. Let's keep it in our clan, and that's it. We don't care about anything else.
Mhm.
So I think it's going more so. This looks like it's going to be in Boston. I think I really wasn't too sure. It's Vault 33. So I'm not too sure. It looks like it's on the East Coast though. I don't think this is going to be in the West. If it is in the West, then I can see a lot of people coming from this like this is not the true meaning of Brotherhood of Steel. So I don't know.
Mhm. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, your point about the Jets of the world, they need to watch the show to actually criticize it. So, you know, but that's just me. I mean, he didn't. When we talked about Lord of the Rings, he just resorts to trolling because he knows his position has no fucking foundation to it whatsoever. There's literally no argument. Like.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, y'all. This is Vault 33, so this is literally on the West Coast. If I'm going by, yeah. So this is in Los Angeles. So yeah, they might get some criticism over this because that is literally the Brotherhood. That is the original Brotherhood of Steel. So I'm wondering how they're going to navigate that. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just needed to get that jab in there about criticizing something you don't experience directly. It's
Well, funny enough, I think that show's actually second season is about to drop soon, right?
Maybe this year. Yes, possibly. And I'm gonna watch it
because it was good.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell my friends that it's good because it pisses them off.
I actually enjoyed that show a lot. I don't know. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings guy, so I can't complain about it. But I mean, I don't really have a stick in this mud. But yeah, it was pretty funny when they constantly complain about it, and it's like, did you even try to watch it? Did you even watch one episode, 2 episodes?
No, nothing, nada.
I think they would actually love the show, which is very funny. I think they will love the show. I think they. I don't
think so. They have built themselves into such a mental corner with this that there's no way they could actually. They can't like the show. Like they could. They have to watch it and hate it. There's no other way around it. They've talked shit about it for so long. They could not come onto the Discord and have watched the show and be like, "Oh, it was actually pretty good." And then me and you like don't fucking take the piss out of them for the rest of their fucking lives.
You know what? If they were to watch it, I would go out my way to not do that. I'm like, okay, thanks for giving me a shot.
I'm not as big man as
you're not as big as.
No, with that behavior the other day where just kept fucking trolling about it is like dude, like you're not even making an argument. You're literally just trolling because you have no position to stand on. It's just, but you're gonna act like you're correct still. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. So I don't know. Anyways, Fallout looks pretty good. The monsters definitely look good. The few that we saw certainly look interesting. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun show potentially. So, if we watch it, we will certainly talk about it here on the podcast. So, all right, Montrell, let's move on to our final story. This one will be quick. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is coming to PC on May 16th. This is the next PC game coming for PlayStation. Are you going to play it on PC?
No, but I know you said this would be quick, but maybe not for me. I'm sorry. I got to get this shit out. I know we're already at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Go for it.
I am not.
No time limit on this podcast, Montrell.
I am not the biggest PlayStation fanboy.
Yeah.
I just recently became like a primary PlayStation person in PS4 era. My primary console was Xbox. That being said, I really need PC people to get their heads out their asses. I don't know if it's a cope mechanism going on. This notion that PS5 has no games. I hate it.
Oh.
I absolutely, every time, bro. Every fucking time a PlayStation game is ported to PC, there's this wave of tweets that come out for not only that PlayStation has no games, but bro, why even own a PlayStation at this point, bro? I'm like, so your justification, just to get this clear, for saying this is you waited 4 years for a port that came out
the PS4
on the PS4. And you have a moral high ground because you're like, see, console exclusives suck. I'm a PC player. I get everything. 5 years later, 4 years later, bro. 4 years.
I hate PC players, dude. They're worst. The PC Master Race people are they're the worst humans on the planet. Like, they're so proud of their little metal box, They're so proud of it. It's just, It's great. PCs are awesome. I love gaming PCs. I love my gaming PC. It's wonderful. It's a great piece of technology. I'm a proud owner of it. However, it doesn't give me this like, fake penis size that I think I'm like better than everyone around me because of it. Like I don't understand that idea like with people that they think they're so powerful in the world because they have a gaming PC. It's just
All people are gonna do is mod CJ from San Andreas into it and call it a day. They're gonna play the game for an hour, put Thomas the Tank in there, make a couple of memes out of it. It's
I love
corny at
it.
this.
It's so good, man. I don't know. I love it. I love that shit, dude. It's so funny.
It's
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 great.
it's okay, but it's like it's kind of predictable at this point, right?
I know.
So
No, it was funny when it was like Resident Evil 2 and Thomas the Tank Engine was Mr. X,
yeah,
following you.
that shit was funny. That,
That
shit was
shit
funny.
was so funny.
That shit was funny as fuck.
Or
Actually.
when Shrek was in what was it? Was it The Last of Us or something? Somebody put Shrek in.
wasn't it Shrek in damn, who was it? In God of War, they were fighting each other.
Oh,
That
it
shit
was God of War. Yeah, you're right. Like that's funny as hell, dude.
But
So yeah.
But yeah, like I'm glad, like they said, they get to experience this game. It's a great game. But why in the hell would you say, um, PlayStation doesn't have any games or whatever when you're literally begging for it to be ported to PC? I just don't like the narrative. I think it's a dumb narrative. I'm not defending PlayStation at any means. I just hate. I think it's a dumb conversation that always gets brought up every time a port comes to PC from PlayStation. It's so
Well,
stupid.
you're like implying that everybody who's bought a PlayStation's an idiot too. It's like
Yeah,
I think that's what they're really trying to do. Like that's what they're really trying to do. Is that how could you buy that inferior plastic box? Oh my god, how could you play your games at 60 frames? I could play them at 120, even though my eyes can't process that. Fucking like
No, you're right. And so unfortunately, that was outshined by that discourse on at least on my timeline, and I saw it on Reddit as well, like the Reddit gaming or whatever. That this conversation, and even like I watch, I don't know if you watch them, but Ordinary Gamers, that the conversation came up on there as well, about why even buy a PlayStation at all when I can just have a PC, and I'm just like, are y'all purposely being dense, or y'all actually believe this?
dude, here's a comment underneath this blog post from somebody. Yeah, and then Sony is curious why they don't reach their PS5 console sales goal. Thankfully, with key stores, I could rebuy my PS library on Steam very cheap, so I'm ready to abandon this platform. Similar how Sony is abandoning it. Like,
not even
dude,
being funny. Is it a mental illness? It's not even trying to be funny.
It's a PS4 game. It's a PS4 game. This has nothing to do with PlayStation 5 sales, console sales. Nothing. Not a thing.
What
Zero.
Is he talking? PlayStation 5 is the fastest selling console since the PS2. What are we talking about?
What are you even talking about? Like, they sold 21 million consoles last year. What are you talking about?
This is what I mean. This is why I don't know. Like the dead internet theory, I think that's a real thing, but in the reverse. I think everyone's just stupid and on purpose. Like they have to be stupid. It literally makes no sense, some of the arguments I see. I was just reading comments just like that one you just read, and your reaction is my genuine reaction. I was just like, I was on private. My account was on private. I unprivatized my account, but my account was private, and I was glad I had it on private because I was going off. I was just like, it makes no fucking sense.
Montrell, it gets better though. It gets better. Sorry, I read the next comment. It gets better. So somebody, these people are broken inside. What is wrong with you? So this guy, the last thing he said was Nintendo plus PC is the way nowadays. That was the first comment. Mm-hmm. So this guy replies, I get your sentiment, but you lost me at Nintendo plus PC. Huh? You can play the entire Nintendo Switch on my MacBook. So if you have a PC, there's zero reason for a Nintendo Switch by your own logic. If it was just about access. Like,
and you're reading it in a joking way, but he 100% typed in.
What? are you talking about? Who are these people, bro? Like, oh my god. There's just like Montrell, I think we need a purge, you know? Like we just need a purge. Like, I don't know. Like Thanos was right.
He was.
Like Thanos was right. He had the right idea, man. You know, the way he did it, I don't agree with, but he had the right idea, you know?
Because you see this, right? You
Mhm.
see it, and you just don't understand it. And it's like, and it's maybe because, right, we cover video games every week, so we're like locked into the shit. And we have to remember that other people are stuck in their bubbles where, like, that's why I like this podcast. It forces me to get outside of my video game bubble and look at other shit that I never even would have looked at before, or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be.
Mhm.
That's why I like doing the podcast, and that's why I like talking to you, because we actually have two different perspectives. Even though we agree on a lot of stuff, we're two totally different gamers as far as like the games we like and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just a group of people out there. They're a large group of people out there. They're just stuck in their own ecosystems. They never venture outside of said ecosystem.
Yeah, but for some reason they feel like they need to tell everyone that their ecosystem is the best ecosystem and that the rest of the ecosystems are trash. What is that? Like why is that the instinct? I don't understand.
I think it's like it's just a subsection or a runoff of like culture, or not culture, a console war mentality. Um,
Is it like an instinct though where these people feel like they need to feel good about what they do in their lives? And
yeah,
they have to force that on other people, and they want other people to acknowledge that their way is so great, you know? It's like to make them feel good about themselves. Like is that like are all these people just sad like they have horrible lives and like this is their only outlet, you know, to get validation because they don't have any friends, they don't have any fucking they don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, you know?
I,
Is that what this is?
I think it's bigger than that. I think because there's no way in hell, um, hundreds of people, thousands of people on Twitter, um, like these popular video game Twitter accounts, they get hundreds and thousands of likes,
Mhm.
and you know that is the sentiment. Like PS5 has no games. I can't believe it. Oh, blah 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 blah. Like, oh, what's the point of having a PS5? And it's like, why would I want to wait 4 years because I refuse? Like, if you want to do that, by all means, go ahead and do that. That's your prerogative, bro. If you don't want a PlayStation 5 because you have some kind of like moral justification against being against box or consoles or whatever the case may be, because you feel like your PC is the best, then by all means do that. And it's more power to you. But at the same time, you can't sit up here and say, I was right the entire time. That's like me, like, boycotting the movies, right? Why would I go to the movies when I can just watch it on DVD when it comes out
Yeah.
a year, 6 months later? And it's like, did you win, bro? Or are you just
Like, yeah, do you feel like you've won? I don't. Yeah, I don't. Oh, here's
like,
another one. Here's another one. Dude, this is a gold mine, by the way. You should be going through these comments. Like, this is a gold mine. So here's another one. Quote: Very true. I swear they've had more PC port announcements than they've had PS5 exclusives so far. They should be ashamed of themselves.
okay, bro, you got it. You got
You
it.
got it, buddy. You got it with your little Batman avatar or whatever the fuck this is. I don't like. Oh my god,
You
man.
got it. I Maybe it's a me mentality, and this is gonna sound. I'm a PC gamer, y'all. So don't. I built my PC from the ground up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't consider PC like a real exclusive platform, in my opinion. Like, when it comes to PC, when it says Xbox and PC, oh, okay, cool. It's an Xbox exclusive. When it says PC and PlayStation, oh, cool. It's a PlayStation exclusive. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, y'all. I don't take y'all seriously. I I don't. I'm sorry. It's a legit console. Like, I mean, it's a legit platform. Steam is huge. Epic Game Store is kind of big. Game
Uh,
GOG and everything like that, or GOG rather, not G2G, but GOG
yeah,
and everything.
it's Steam. It's all Steam.
But yeah, like, I think
Like
the only thing PC really has exclusive to them at this point, and that's changing slowly, is porn games.
Uh,
I mean,
actually, I was gonna say four. I
MMOs.
was gonna say 4X games, but even that's not true anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Like now that I think about it, Civ's on PlayStation. Fucking like Age of Wonders has been on PlayStation. Like there's a whole bunch of them on. I think Stellaris might be on PlayStation. So yeah, even I think they're mad. I think they're mad that consoles are as big as they are, and it's like eroding their part of the industry or something. Like
Well, you
I
remember they
don't know.
had their little hurrah at the beginning of last gen.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody that's when a lot of people did
Well,
become
wait,
primarily PC players.
wait, was there hurrah when Arkham Knight didn't work on PC ever? It was like the biggest disaster of a game we've ever seen. Was that the hurrah you're talking about? You
I
know,
was
or was it Assassin's Creed Unity that also didn't work on PC? Was that their hurrah? I don't know. You know, all the games that don't work on PC because game developers don't give a shit about your platform.
I,
Sorry, I'm being mean now.
I know- when the Xbox when the Xbox One came out and it was the whole DRM scandal thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people instead of buying a PlayStation went over to PC, and that was like their big hurrah or whatever the case may be. I remember I got a gaming laptop or whatever around that time. And I got berated by the fucking PC community. I went on like a forum board I used to be on all the time. It was like, yeah, I joined the PC game. I bought me a gaming laptop and I joined the PC community because I can't do either one of these consoles anymore because Xbox pissed me off or whatever the case may be. And they were like, gaming laptop, bro. Well, look at this guy.
Oh my God.
I got fucking ran off that fucking forum over that shit. It's funny because I give Andy shit for his little gaming laptop. I'm like, man, that's like
But
super
it's in
convenient.
jest. We all do it, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, hey man, he's living his life the way he wants to live it.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, you don't need a fucking.
I mean, dude, by the same logic, the Steam Deck should have
I
been
was just about to say that.
should have been lambasted into the sun, you know?
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that, bro. Like, Steam Deck should not be as popular as it is, but it's actually really good. It's a really good console.
These people are gremlins. They're little gremlins. I don't know. Like there's
I
one
think
comment, bro, mad that he has to share his games. LOL. Like really, that's what it is. Like you're like a 5-year-old who's like doesn't want to share. You know?
I think that's why this Steam is so popular because a lot of people want PC games, but in a handheld or a console, like
look, no PC gamer is ever going to argue to me that playing PC games is the best way to play. It is the most uncomfortable way to play a video game.
It is.
That's ever been created. I hate playing games on PC, like compared
I
to playing
know
on console.
because you play Final Fantasy 14 on console.
Absolutely. It works. I can do it. I'm just as good as everyone else. As long as that's all true, I'm definitely playing on console. Like, y'all can have it. You can sit up and have your fucking back arched and fucking sitting in your uncomfortable fucking desk chair. Meanwhile, I'm fucking laying back, playing fucking laying
I'm
down.
tell you though,
like,
just invest in a better chair, bro. Just invest in a
I
better
did.
chair.
It's called a DX Racer. But that's the only way you can like actually play PC gaming and not break your back, is to buy one of those chairs. And those chairs aren't comfortable. They're not comfortable chairs. Like they're necessary. That's what they are. They're necessary. But
well, a lot of people don't consider too. I know people will argue this to the high fucking heavens, Justin. They're gonna argue this point, but it's a fact of life. It's so much easier and cost effective to get into console gaming than it is PC gaming. I'm sorry, y'all.
I mean, that's an objective fact.
There is no amount of YouTube videos. I built this $300 PC that's stronger than a PS5. No, bro. Like, and then you watch the video and they're like, oh, well, I actually already had this case on hand, and I had this on hand, and I had
one
this
of my
on hand.
sponsor, NVIDIA sponsors my channel and gave me a free 4080. Like,
So
God.
like I don't know. Yeah, it's relatively expensive. I mean, not only are you just thinking about the PC, you gotta think about the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, the desk. The desk is probably some of the most expensive parts, to be honest with y'all. Like my desk was expensive. My
Yeah.
chair was expensive. I had to buy a new chair because I bought a cheap chair and it hurt my fucking back. So the chair is expensive. Like Justin said, I think he bought his at like what $600 at the time. It's probably cost
Uh,
of inflation. It's
the
like
chair.
$800 now. Yeah,
It was actually 350. I bought it
350.
on a Black Friday sale
Okay,
6.5 years ago.
yeah. So I think it's probably like,
Now I actually looked at DX racers recently. They have not gone up as
oh,
much as you
nice.
would think. They've managed to keep their prices relatively stable, surprisingly. Probably because their margins are incredible, I'm assuming. But yeah, like my desk was like 200 or 250, I think.
Yeah,
The
it's
chair
expensive.
was 350. That doesn't even start with the actual computer itself, the monitors, the keyboard, the mouse, the headset. Um,
I forgot about the headset. Yeah,
yeah, all that. I mean, we're talking multiple thousands of dollars to set all that up, you know. And I got a cheap desk. $250 for a gaming desk is really, that's actually a really good price, you know.
yeah. I got mine for $150.
Yeah, to get
So
one that like can actually hold your tower and everything and has good construction, like that's
ex-
pretty good
e-
price. So
yeah, exactly.
um
So this subject was about Ghost of Tsushima, but like I said, I knew it wasn't gonna go. When I saw this, I was like, "Oh man, I feel bad. This is gonna be last," because I every time without fail, I want y'all to go back and look at the comments from when they announced God of War, when they
yeah,
announced
yeah,
Horizon Forbidden West, or not Forbidden West, but Horizon Zero Dawn, and all the other PlayStation exclusives like Spider-Man and everything of that nature. It's the same conversation over and over again. And I don't know what world these people live in. I would love to live in this world
yeah.
that they live in.
Watch out, a couple more for the road.
Let's
this
go.
is this is amazing. Okay, all right. PlayStation gamers, are you gonna keep allowing this piece of shit company keep playing us? PC is killing PlayStation community identity. I don't even know what, like, this isn't even a sentence. Community identity platform. Do y'all not see what happened to Xbox? Not only PC destroyed it, y'all are doing the same. Y'all are doing the same. If this gets, do you have a period key on your keyboard?
Oh
Jesus.
my god.
If this gets removed, like, there hasn't been a period this entire thing I've said so far. If this gets removed, I take it as a declaration of war, and there will be repercussions. If you're a real PlayStation fan, speak up. What is PC doing for us PlayStation gamers? Nothing. If y'all think PC gonna benefit us, I got the Declaration of Independence to sell you. We PlayStation gamers are not your toys. Without us, you're nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 errors. And then first reply to this guy: you speak facts and the truth, fellow Sony fan. Enough is enough with the terrible Sony leadership and PC mindset.
Oh my
Nintendo
god.
goes off to sue Yuzu PC support. Awesome job, Nintendo. And here's Sony giving away our exclusive heritage for free. It's appalling.
Look at this comment. I hope you're not. I hope you're not developing PS6, Sony, because you're making PlayStation more undesirable every month.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, y'all
When
need
will
to
we
go
see
outside,
PlayStation
man.
game? When will we see PlayStation Studios announce a game for the PlayStation 5 console? Never. These are clowns. They don't seem to care about the new PS5 games.
I just don't understand what is like why do you need why is your identity so wrapped up in this box that plays games? I don't, man, you gotta find a different hobby, bro. Like, all of these people, like, do something else with your lives. I can't with them. I can't. Like,
How does how does
it's almost depressing at a certain
listen to
point.
this
Like,
comment? I'm sorry, bro.
yeah.
This one just got me.
Hmm.
This devalues the PlayStation gamer like me. Takes the sheen of PlayStation exclusives, which sucks. I haven't even bought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth day one, like I usually do to support Sony. What's the point? They don't care anyway. Put it on a PC day one. End this exclusive once for all. Watch how the sales plummet in totality for both first-party games and consoles. Look at Xbox now; they have spent an entire decade hopping around to only end up on PlayStation. GTA 6 skips PC for a reason. Anyway, go walk towards your death, PlayStation! Double exclamation point.
Oh, here we go. I got another one too. I don't understand how PC is getting 2 PS5 releases this year and how PS5 has nothing on the calendar for this year. Seriously, why is this studio helping with a remake of Uncharted Drake's Fortune? Where's Astro? Why aren't we seeing the God of War Greek Saga ported to PS4, PS5? I've had an itch to play them since finishing Ragnarok. Where the hell are the new games? Nixus seems like a wasted investment if all they can do is port old releases to PC that I've already finished. I love Ghost of Tsushima. Love to play it on my deck. Sure, I'd love even more to play on Sony handheld like a Vita 2. And then the reply, they're a useless studio that don't give anything to PS owners.
What are they talking about?
I don't know. Where is Astro? Like, are people really clamoring for that? Like, I love the all caps though. They're like literally Astros in all capitals for some reason. Maybe that's what the game is, but
I've not walked up to one person who has a PS5 and they were like, "Yo, bro, you play Astro?"
It's a pack-in with the console too, dude. You know what the first thing every PS5 owner does when they get their PS5 is deletes Astro off the PS5.
I've never heard somebody get so mad about Astro.
Where's Astro?
Oh, he has a bigger argument for Little Big Planet than Astro, bro.
Oh
my
god.
Man. Oh, that was too funny. Where's Astro? Oh my god, bro. Who are these people, bro?
I love this, man. We need this is where we got to expand into YouTube. We need to just come into these things and read these comments, bro. Like, this is content right here, man. Like, this is beautiful. I love these people. This is so funny. This is pure comedy, bro.
It is. You know what's so funny? It's just like the YouTube community is just feeding into it because they're like, yeah, they're right. I might as well not even buy a PlayStation. It's like, bro, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
God.
I don't know.
One. Traitors, PlayStation has become irrelevant. All caps. That's got to be a troll, dude. There's no way that's a real.
All these people have to be bots.
They have to be bots. They can't be real people. Like, they're not serious. These people can't be serious, but they have to be. There's too many of them. Like, some of them are serious. There's no way around that. Some of them have to be serious.
I don't know, man. Like,
I don't know.
Even when games come day and date on PC, they sell worse on PC. Like, that's just an objective fact. That's not even being mean or anything. Like,
but this is extra revenue for PlayStation. PlayStation would be irresponsible if they weren't releasing these games on PC. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Like
and I'm glad PC players get to play them. But apparently,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if this is PlayStation fans or Actually, I don't know at this point anymore. I don't know if it's PlayStation fans complaining or if it's PC fans complaining. They're both complaining about getting the game on the platform. I don't.
That's true. The PC players are mad too. Why are we getting this game? God. Oh, this shit console game that runs like shit. Like, okay, dude, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to play it. Like, go play Baldur's Gate for the 80th time, okay? Like, it's fine. Like, goddamn, I don't know, man.
I'm surprised they weren't mad about Baldur's Gate being on console. I'm absolutely surprised. I'm floored by that, actually.
It's because it was after, like, it wasn't day and date.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, this reminds me of Diablo 3, the demo, or I think. And I remember, and this is when I don't even know what the fuck was wrong with me, bro. I used to browse 4chan, V boards, the video game boards. And this is when, like, the speculation before Diablo 3 came to PC or something like that. people are like, oh, see, look at it. Look at the skill bar. It's only four things on the skill bar. That's designed for controller. Oh my God. They're going to bring the PC. They're bringing the console. They're going to bring the console. And it was like this big old conspiracy. And once they really did bring in a console, people felt vindicated and I mean, granted, right? I mean, Diablo 3 isn't the best, but like people were like, oh,
but they just made up a narrative in their head. Like they just made up a narrative. And like, maybe that was like, when did Diablo, hold on, let's see, Diablo 3 console release date, like how long did it take for it to come to console?
I think it was like a year or two, maybe.
It was released for Microsoft OS in May, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in September of 2013, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in August of 2014, literally a year and a half after the game came out, and then 2.5 years after the game came out, it came to consoles. Like, yeah, well, they definitely specifically were sitting in their brainstorming sessions like, let's see, we should lower the number of abilities people can use so we can get this on a controller.
That's the theory. That's why they said it was trash, because they were like, they're doing this because they.
You know what's also trash? Diablo 4. Stop playing Diablo. Go play a real fucking game like Path of Exile. You know, if you want a game not released on consoles, there you go. Path of Exile. It's right there, staring you right in the face. Stop playing Diablo.
Or Grim Dawn.
No, Grim Dawn's on Xbox actually.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well, they wouldn't like that.
But it is a real man's ARPG though.
I don't know, man. Like, I didn't feel this way when Monster Hunter got ported over to PC. I was like, oh, this is disgraceful.
I don't feel this way about anything. I couldn't give a shit less as long as I can play games on something. I don't care. It doesn't have to be PlayStation or Xbox or Switch or even PC. I don't care as long as I'm not streaming them.
Yeah, I don't want to stream them. That's
like I have something native to play them on. It's fine. Like, why is it so essential to these people? I don't know. Whatever, yeah, man. Fuck them. Fuck Diablo. Like, go play a real fucking game. Blizzard sucks.
We'll end to end this on a good note.
One more point, and we'll end it here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to end this on a good note, I'm glad PC players that haven't experienced Ghost of Tsushima can experience Ghost of Tsushima. It's a very fun game.
I agree.
I really hope y'all enjoy it because it's a phenomenal game. Very good game.
Yeah, it's much better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Or at least any right to be based on Sony's marketing of it.
Oh my God, they did such a terrible job. I would never forgive. And no one talks about it. That's what makes me so mad. No one talks about the marketing behind that game, how terrible it was. It was a terrible campaign. Terrible marketing campaign.
No, we totally got duped by it, man.
I don't even know how we bought it. I think one of us bought it, and they were just like, yeah, this is
it was I think that was when Tiara was on the show. I think it was because of her. I think she got it.
Yeah.
And she was like head over heels for it. And then I got it, and I was head over heels for it. And then I think eventually you got it as well after that. And yeah, it just But that's where word of mouth can help sometimes.
Yep.
You know. All right, Montrell. We've been going long enough, bloviating for 3 hours about video games. It's too early for meta scores on those games, so we'll skip that. And I think that's it for us this week. So, Montrell, is there anything else you want to talk about before we go? Get it in now.
Nope.
Forever hold
that's
your
it.
peace.
We've been doing this, and I'm hungry. I know you're hungry.
Oh yeah, I'm starving right now. Let's go. All right, everybody. If you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show, whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's going to be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week.